What is going on, everybody? It is episode 284 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name's Brett. I'm here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, crisis actors. It's Mary. You know, Hollywood is so woke.
So woke!
And here to complain about how woke Hollywood is with us today is our guest. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, I am Leslie.
How you doing today?
I am, I'm
Hi,
100%
Leslie.
here.
Is it some type of like wokeception when we use the word woke while making fun of everyone's overuse of the term woke? I'm just over it.
Yes, we are hypocrites for using the word woke.
Yes, it's a thing, right?
But it's overused. I want a new term.
Yes,
The message.
Yeah, that's
The narrative.
The message might be the best out of all of them.
I don't
But
know.
you have to have the reverberating sound effect when you do that. The message.
Thank you very much
right?
to the Critical Drinker.
Yes.
This is why we need a soundboard.
Oh.
You just hit
He might be the best
woke.
person to differentiate too between what is and what isn't.
Yeah.
Where,
He's one of those people that when I watch his videos, he's as articulate as I wish I could be.
Yep.
Right?
yeah, but he's a writer.
Yeah. You know,
Very gifted
it
writer.
is what it is. So we got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. Marvel and China, they've kissed and made up. They're going to keep going
Squash
forward.
the beef.
Kissing. They're in a treehouse right now. They're kissing. They're making up. They're going to be releasing Marvel movies in China once again. Thank you, Bob Iger. Thank you, Xi Jinping. We're also going to talk about speaking of Marvel, speaking of Disney, there's a civil war, you could call it, going on right now at Disney between Marvel stands and Avatar stands, and they are battling.
Oh, is there such a thing?
There is such a thing. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Candace Cameron Bure and her PTSD from being on The View, as well as this really, who's the guy?
There is a former child star
Yeah.
who was interviewed by her on
From
The
Who's the
View,
Boss?
who is now looking to drum up some beef with her today,
Yeah.
7 years later.
Also, Jeremy Clarkson, journalist Jeremy Clarkson proves that doing anything against Meghan Markle, any type of insult, any type of complaint, it's wrongthink. Guys, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to hurt Meghan Markle's fifis in any
Not the
way, shape,
perfect
or form.
victim.
No,
Not her.
of course not. So we got that. We got some other stuff. But before we get into all that, we have cringe of the day, do we not?
We have cringe of the day.
Okay. All right.
This one you need to have the
yep.
sound on.
Yep. Yeah. I did. So Mary sent this one to me earlier. And
I thought you might relate
yeah,
to it.
I do.
As a blader.
All right, so let's watch it, guys. Not that one. There we go. It's
Hooray!
okay.
How do you feel if somebody was filming you skating
Look,
and did a voiceover like
it's
that?
the most insulting thing ever. It's insulting.
Hooray!
Okay, I do have.
It's
a
funny because
story.
he actually did an amazing job.
No, the trick was incredible.
Yeah.
And I have, it's funny too, because I have stories in the skating community. First, there's two types of approaches to stuff like this. Some filmers would prefer to be completely silent. No matter how hard the trick is, you don't want it to interrupt the flow of what's going on. I disagree with that method. There was a skating filmer named Carl Sturgis who would get ridiculously excited every time one of his friends would land a trick. But what was important was he skated with a lot of people who went on to be really big name pros who would do these incredible tricks, but he'd get just as excited for the dudes who weren't as good as those dudes.
Yeah.
So he would they'd land a trick, he'd be like, oh, he would say, oh my God, just like that. And but he would say that whether it was one dude who was really, really good or another dude who was just kind of good.
You gas your friends up.
Yeah, you gas your friends up. This person is just like, wow,
Hooray.
can't start a slow clap at any old time.
It's funny because I actually was having a dream last night about learning to do scooter tricks for some reason.
You should learn to,
I have no idea
you should
why.
learn biking. You should.
We have an expert if you need to be taught.
Yeah,
have a scooter expert
I'm
here.
sure we do.
Yes,
Surge.
I don't think I have the coordination for it, but in my dreams.
So yeah, you don't want that person. Imagine that person coming to your graduation and they're just like, "Yeah, great," or some other big accomplishment. You get married and they're like, "Wow, good for you."
This would be me filming a hype video.
Yes. So, good. Well, you know what? That person,
All right.
I'm clapping for that person. I'm not sure if how I feel about the pink on blue, but the trick was
I don't
incredible.
know.
The
I like
trick
that
was
fit.
incredible.
No,
So-
He looks like the meme. The
Yeah. All right, guys. We are so now that we've done cringe of the day, it's not even cringy. It was just painful for me to watch that guy do
That's
all
what
that
cringe
work.
is. It's pain.
Can we cut that hooray out and put it in every time there's a
Hooray! Maybe that will be the next crisis.
New
party.
diversity quota reached. Hooray!
Maybe that'll be the next crisis party sound effect. It's
Yeah.
like like it goes, it builds up really big, and then just goes, hooray! And then it just dies.
Oh, that'll be good.
It reminds me of this. This is so far in the weeds, but we did the Corendemic episode of Cast Castle.
Yeah.
We had to put in a fake doorbell, and it's just me behind the camera going, ding dong. Aaron was like, that's going in every episode, like, somewhere.
Incredible. Mary, are you ready to get started?
We're ready.
Wesley.
I am ready.
All right, let's go, guys. All right, so Disney, I believe this is mostly due to the return of Bob Iger, but they are now going to be releasing movies in China again. Marvel movies are going to be released in China again. Makes perfect sense. Bob Iger was at one point going to be like an ambassador for China under the Biden administration.
I love when communism and mega corporations
come together.
are just like,
I think there's a word for it.
Wait, so I have a question. Is it more woke to not change your material and keep it out of China, or is it more woke to change your material and sell it to the Chinese Communist Party? Which one? I ask you.
oh gosh. I know we make jokes about this term late stage capitalism, but could it get more late stage capitalism than this?
I don't think it could.
Personally, I think that at least China has standards for what they will show to the public.
So
we don't.
The idea here is that China is going to allow Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and Ant-Man Quantumania. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. I'm not calling it that. Ant-Man Quantumania.
It's not about Ant-Man anymore, though.
No, it's about the Wasp.
That's your mistake.
So this will be the first Marvel movie releases in China since Spider-Man No Way Home. I was looking it up. It was really funny. Shang-Chi did not that well in China.
I was wondering about that.
It didn't even do that well in
You said
in
76
Japan.
million.
I think it was 72 or 76. It wasn't a lot of money for what China offers them. And then think about this. China keeps 75% of that.
It's confusing because we have this idea that, China doesn't want to see Black actors on screen. Like they're discriminatory against Black actors because they didn't go out in as many numbers to see Black Panther. And then what can we expect for Wakanda Forever in that case? But I don't know if that's actually true.
No, I was surprised
because if they didn't go to see Shang-Chi, then maybe they're just not into this genre.
Yeah. I don't know. They seem to be really focused on their own movie, but I did see that their Top Gun movie bombed. Like their Top Gun wannabe movie bombed, and they got cited like bad CGI.
I thought that you said you wanted to watch the Top Gun copycat and review it.
I did.
You would probably unironically like it.
India would make a good Top Gun.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
But China, not so much.
No. The funny thing about this is it's more than just this, but it's like Disney has this problem right now where they're trying to push out into other markets and they can't seem to get it right, whether it's because of Bob Chapek said, we're not going to change our movies. We're not going to make any edits to them. The question is, how much of Black Panther and how much of Quantumania are they going to have to change? Probably not a whole lot.
But what he means by that is he's talking tough. What he's saying is we're not going to change our movies. They're involved from the get-go. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So it's not that you don't have to change anything if they have if they can leave you writer notes from the beginning. Anyways, I think they're still smarting over that Epoch Times paper that was in Spider-Man No Way Home.
You mean in Doctor Strange?
Oh, was it? Oh, yes. I'm sorry, Doctor Strange.
Yeah, that was even more puzzling to me because who would plant that? And I thought that they objected to Doctor Strange on the grounds of America Chavez's two gay moms being in the movie.
But there was so little of it. I guess then the idea is would Marvel have made the cut? Marvel's we're not making any cuts whatsoever. So the question is that one scene at the end of Wakanda Forever going to get cut out? That one little scene,
right?
The
representation for
Ghana
or lesbians in Ghana or something like that. I mean, I just hate when a mega corporation like Disney pretends to have principles.
They do not have principles.
You are not the social justice like the gatekeepers of social justice or of these so-called marginalized groups. You don't care about them at all. You just sprinkle these dog whistles into your movies for points with the Western media, and then more points with the Western media when you make this fake stance like, we're not gonna edit it out of the movie because we're principled. You don't have morals of any kind.
Imagine a corporation having principles.
It never happened.
Lols. So the other thing is, I think Avatar, besides Bob Iger coming back, I think the success of Avatar is a big part of this, because Avatar 2, The Way of Water, it got an extension in China. Meaning, like, it got an extension past its American movies get 30-day releases in China, then they cut it off. They gave them an extension past the 30 days into the new year. So that movie's doing like not as well as they expected, but it's still making money. And it kind of goes along with that movie. And then Jurassic World Dominion was the other one that made money in China this year. But other than that, it's not like any Disney movies were making money there. It's all their own movies there. They don't need our entertainment anymore. They have their own entertainment.
I can't remember there being anything plausibly objectionable in Jurassic World Dominion or Avatar. It's just like violence, animals, aliens.
Yeah. I don't think there was any. Well, I'm saying
mythical creatures.
They actually, that's not like, they take issue with magic sometimes, right? China does.
No,
or is that Japan?
I don't know. I know China takes issue with like representations of the dead.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So like logos, like what was the game that like removed skull and crossbones from like a game? Because they didn't want it in the game because it was a representation of something to do with the dead or something.
It's giving the same vibe as like that little schoolboy that bit his Pop-Tart into the shape of a gun and got in trouble for it.
Yeah.
Well, it's like like anything that has like the Christian devil in it. Can't be in there.
I see. Yeah, so well, I don't think that Avatar had anything like that. I mean, they addressed death, but they have more of
people can die, but it's like their thing is like, people cannot come back from the dead, and it's like, okay, or there can't be spirits of the dead, or demons, or angels, or anything like that.
Well, they might have had that in Avatar or the next Avatar because of Kiri's connection to her ancestors. I think, like, I guess that's what they were hinting at, but never fleshed out.
But I think it's more of a like from the Western perspective, and that's not like no angels in name or demons in name. Yeah. So like they were going to get away with Mephisto because they're like, oh, he's not the Christian devil. He's a mutant.
Well, thankfully for Avatar, human beings are the devil in their universe. There's no devil there's also in Avatar except for humanity.
They're going to introduce like more characters into that world there that could challenge that narrative in the next one too. Okay. The other thing here that's really funny is Disney's going through more problems because Disney as their own corporate entity, as their own city is coming to an end as well. Because they're going to be adding state administration in Florida, or Ron DeSantis is going to be introducing legislation that's going to remove the privileges that Reedy Creek has.
He said Disney will no longer have its own government. Disney will live under the same laws as everybody else. Disney will pay the debts and taxes, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
Is there a year that this stuff bursts for them? Like it does. We talk a lot about the idea of post-profit age for entertainment. Like they don't really need to make money because the message is what's important. What's funny is Tim was talking about that last night, right? Like they believe wholeheartedly, and I think in a lot of cases, like if you're making a product for something and you believe in the message or the values of the people that are doing that it doesn't matter for them, right? Obviously at a much larger scale for a corporation like Disney. But is there a point where the bubble bursts? It's different for a private entity as opposed to a publicly traded company. But I mean, this kind of just proves that they still need the money. Otherwise they wouldn't reinitiate these relationships. Or is the idea here that they're choosing China over representation and that will inform the movies going forward?
Yeah. I think you're right.
Do you think that's possible?
I mean,
I think that's actually right.
You think that they're like, look, we weighed the pros and cons. Sorry, back of the line.
I honestly don't think that many people believe in the message. The message was a part of and it was, well, not even that. Yes, but it's a destabilizing force. And so this is just the next phase of destabilization.
Yeah. So what do you think so Disney's doing this. What was the other company that was like particularly bad this year? Funny thing is, I don't think any of them were particular. Me and Mary talk about this all the time. we can complain about wokeness all the time. You could say that about something like Velma, which is beyond woke, which is bad. Yeah. But I felt like most of the movies we reviewed this year were just like, if like Mary didn't like them, she just didn't like them, right? It wasn't because it was quote unquote woke. It was just because you thought it was a bad movie. I liked most of the movies that we reviewed this year. I think most of the awful stuff comes from interviews and people being teed up these awful questions from awful journalists who are looking for sound bites. And it doesn't affect... The movies suffer more from bad writing than they do from ideology.
I think
from
they're
both.
intertwined.
Those problems are intertwined. Though.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings, or the Rings of Power, I should call it.
That's an example of an extreme example of when it's really, really bad.
Yeah, Willow is
yes,
another one.
But those were Disney, right?
Yeah,
and like
correct.
TV. One's Disney. Well, yeah, but I'm saying like they can do that on TV where it just doesn't make it to another market. Doesn't matter. It's still going to go to the U.S. It's still going to go to all these other markets. Look, I understand that entertainment is full of ideology, but when it comes to the major blockbuster motion pictures, it's not as noticeable as it is on television.
I'm trying to think. I feel like there was one thing I did see
that was particularly bad.
Yeah, but I still enjoyed it.
I mean,
so
they're boiling the frog. That's what I think. I think if you, if past you from like a decade ago, time traveled to today and watched what is in theaters or streaming right now, you would actually be shocked.
Yeah.
Oh,
but because you're watching it now, you're so desensitized, you have to watch the extreme versions of it like Velma. Then it doesn't hit you as hard, but it's definitely there, and we're just losing sight of it. And yes, they suffer from bad writing, often more so than outright wokeness.
Hooray.
But I think ideologues lack creativity. The wokeness is in writers' rooms. When it doesn't show as blatantly as usual, it's still there. It's still the cultural water that we drink, and it's like fluoridating our brains.
You're right. Like your original point about the frog, you're right.
That's
like,
perfect analogy.
It is, because
frogs and fluoride. I'm Alex Jones.
Even
right
back
now.
as far back as 2014, which is what, 8 years now or 9 years now. Jeez. If you released Eternals in 2014. It would have flopped worse than it did.
Totally.
You think so?
Yeah. Oh, way worse. You'd be like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
Like you had first of all, you had to have Guardians of the Galaxy come out to even like open the doors to something like that. And like I like that they branched out, but it is so devoid of substance. Like I wanted to like that movie so bad. I wanted to. Like I was like, I'm ready. I want to see what this person can do.
Well, it was just pretty images on screen with no actual substance behind it.
Right, but it was just to make points, like every scene, like it's better than The Rings of Power.
Yes.
Right? But it's
only because it's shorter.
True. Somehow. But it's mere existence. You're like, I know what you're trying to do. You know?
Well, so I watched some stuff.
That's one big budget movie that
did, but that was 2021, wasn't it? It wasn't 2022. I'm trying to think of what we watched in 2022 that was particularly objectionable.
We actively avoided Strange World, which is one of the worst things Disney put out all year.
I guess we liked Glass Onion, but there's definitely social commentary in Glass Onion.
Amsterdam had
but even then it was fine. Yeah. Like it was like I don't remember who it was that made a video recently said, do we see it everywhere now because we're so rubbed raw from all of the problems that it's caused? I think that's a fair question to ask yourself and be in check. Is it just bad writing, or is it actually because of hysterical ideology?
Yeah.
Like I was going through it last night. I was like looking at it. Look, Better Call Saul did really well at the Critics' Choice Awards and in a bunch of other things. Like a lot of the problems right now are that there's only so many good writers to go around, and those good writers have been writing and producing shows for 20 years. There's just only so many of them. You can't have everything come out be up to that level because they're busy. They're doing other shows.
And if a show has longevity, it keeps the same people. They end up being tied up there. Yeah, that's understandable.
And just the sheer amount of content that's being made between 7 zillion streaming platforms, 5 studios making 10, 15 movies a year, you're just not going to have like 10, 15 movies each studio like release a year. Is that about right? Like how less than that? 10 to 15?
It depends.
Like the idea is like there's just so much content that a lot of fluff is sticking through. So I think it's fair enough to at least question, like, are we actually seeing wokeness everywhere, or is it just a lot of really bad writing that credits it in the undertone?
Yeah, what you're asking is complex, which is give me concrete examples, but it's not. It's an influence of, it's an unseen influence almost. Like in the worst versions of it, She-Hulk and Velma, it's right there. And you're like, wow, everybody hates it. But it's pushing. It's like what choices are being made, what direction do franchises go.
Yeah,
it's that, and it's more in the industry than it is in the content sometimes, where it's like, oh, what's the number one thing you've reviewed on Rotten Tomatoes this year? Like you said it was Miss Marvel, right?
Yeah. I mean that was the number one critic review.
What was the number one audience review?
I'd
love to know that.
Like
Black Adam will blow my brains out.
Yeah.
It might be.
Everyone here is just still you, Dane. Everyone's mad about Black Adam, but me. Everyone's mad about Black Adam, but me.
I'm not mad about Black Adam. I'm just mad about how low our standards have gotten.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And like I'm seeing one person said like, Cobra Kai and The Terminalist were the only things you can certifiably say are not woke in 2022. I disagree with that. Yeah. I think there are more that you can point out than just a couple, actually. But I don't like this thing where we have one basket that says woke and another basket that says
good,
non-woke
or good
or good. Yeah. Okay, it's not as clean cut as that because this gets sprinkled everywhere. There's nothing that isn't influenced by the times we live in.
Absolutely.
So like when I posted on my Instagram story about having watched Wednesday, and I like posted multiple opinions about it, some criticisms, some praises for it. Like the fact that they had horribly aged words like mansplaining or patriarchy in the show, but other ways that the show did well. Yeah. Someone just replied, well, is it woke or is it not woke?
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not how this works. There are other ways to evaluate a show.
Look,
you also have to define what woke is.
Yes.
And I think
most people, that's different to everyone.
I don't think it should be. I think it is. To me, there's an objective definition, which is not... so one side would say, oh, well, they say anything that has representation or storylines that follow anybody other than a straight white male is woke. And it's like, no, that's when that is what you have in place of substance. Yeah. When you're like, oh, no, you should watch this because of this reason. No. Give me good and then do those things. Mm-hmm. There are plenty of movies that I love that I would say are not woke that are starring strong black women. Like plenty of them. Or just strong women in general. Some of my favorite movies are about star women. It is not that. No. It is the substitution and the like holding it up as like this is why it's good.
Network television is worse at all of this than any of them. If you want actual wokeness, you watch medical dramas on network television right now. It's so like New Amsterdam and all of these other shows. They're so bad.
No, I saw a clip from New Amsterdam get posted on Twitter the other day that was like one white female character and a black male character who had hooked up in the show, and they like work together, and she confronts him. And it's this like weird conflict where he says that he doesn't want to continue their soirees because he wants to get married and settle down with a black woman and have black children. And this white woman is like arguing with him about it. And she's like, wow, like, am I really not good enough for you? Like something like that. And all of these people are commenting about it and saying like, well, it really says this about this social issue. And this dynamic here, it says a lot about power and privilege and blah, 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 blah. Like, we've gotten so lost. This is a TV show that you're supposed to watch while you paint your nails or eat Cheetos or whatever. Like while you pay half attention to it, doing something else.
The funny thing is, the people
it's supposed to be entertaining, not deep.
Yeah. The people watching it aren't thinking it's deep. The writers are thinking it's deep, but they're not even thinking that deeply to write it. No. Like it's just mean. And it's just
racist.
It's
like kind of racist.
So it's like, look, Disney. I don't know how this is all going to affect Disney, but I do feel like they chose China over. Like, we'll see. We'll have to see where this goes with Marvel movies going forward. So
let's go to Super Chats. Potatoes for Seamus said, "Wow, I didn't know that." Brett Dasovic.
Yes, I have. I contributed to the vlog.
It is not a vlog anymore.
I contributed to Cast. So that's an in-house term. Yeah. I contributed to Cast Castle. It's not as good as my epic performance where I had a podcast with just me and a bunch of stuffed animals. Yeah. But it's pretty.
That was definitely your best work.
That's my best work.
Cast Castle. Yeah. Andrew Jacobs said, "Short time listener, first time super chatter here. Y'all are my current favorite podcast. Please have Chris Bertman on again and soon.
Yes, Chris.
Definitely. And thank you.
Chris Bertman is like my favorite person on. He really is. He's so good on
favorite
Twitter.
blue check on Twitter.
He had a tweet earlier where it had a picture of Velma and then Linda Cardellini. Velma, and it says reject modernity, embrace tradition.
It's like
that's
what you
genius.
What you ordered online versus when it arrives.
Yes, it's the Wish version of Velma.
Caper2X said, Brett, are you going to review Will Trent? Quirky characters wrapped in Georgia's Southern charm. It is based on a hate crime mystery book series. Make mine Marvel.
That was look. I saw the ads for Will Trent like on streaming. I don't even remember which platform it was on. I saw like a big poster for it, but I didn't see any trailers or anything for it. If it's based on a mystery,
I haven't seen anything about this.
If it has a good look to it, maybe I'll check it out. I still have to watch. There's a bunch of stuff that I. It's
like 10,000 things to mini
look,
review.
We've got The Last of Us on Sunday. We've got Velma tomorrow. So I'm going to have to take my antidepressants and go to a 12-step meeting beforehand. Okay, the 12-step meeting part's a joke. But like, I'm definitely going to have to like muscle up. Like you don't just go watch Velma. You actually like muscle up and get ready to watch Velma. One does not just... turn it up. Well, yeah, you who embraces the cringe. I do not embrace the cringe.
It's definitely a generational difference.
It must be.
I was raised in the cringe.
Yeah. I was molded by it.
Potatoes for Seamus said, so glad Wesley made it back inside. Hi, Brett, Mary, Wesley.
Me too,
also,
my keys were in here.
Mary, I think it's time for our daily Aussie accent and Alex Jones voice. Cheers, Mary. I don't know what to say.
Can you do what's your favorite?
I definitely can't do an Aussie Alex Jones.
What would an Aussie Alex Jones like? Now I'm picturing Alex Jones riding a kangaroo.
Oh yeah, I love this alternate universe.
Like we need a Photoshop. Maybe somebody can do that for like meme review next week.
Daily Aussie accent. I don't know if that was any good.
Also, before not in the super chat, somebody says Lewis says take Brett's shoelaces off him when he's watching Velma. I'm currently wearing shoes without shoelaces, so we're good.
Brett doesn't have a car, so you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about whether Brett's brakes work.
Yes, we're good.
And he is a very happy podcaster. Yes. Okay. Caper2X said Marvel in China, so Commissar CCP to the MCU soon.
Yeah,
or is he already there?
I mean, he's already there. Like the funny thing about it is, for me, it never seemed like it changed because the Marvel movies are such a prevalent part of our culture. But I forgot that they weren't releasing them in China for a while because it was annoying to watch them virtue signal, but only for about 8 seconds, and then you're done. And you're like, okay, they're done virtue signaling. They don't actually care about anyone.
Yeah. Bjork with Pipes said, "Have you ever tried a Dutch baby?"
I don't even know what that means, but it doesn't sound good.
It's a type of pancake, I think, that you make in a cast iron skillet.
I watched a TikTok this weekend that had a guy make a French toast waffle pancake.
We need to play this on the show.
And my brain almost exploded.
Please find this.
I will have to refind it and watch it.
Fipo, I think that's how to say it, said, didn't Disney try to create their own Disney real life city in Florida?
I mean, they were under their own laws, right? Like the Reedy Creek
wasn't there some like insane murder suicide story that happened in their residential area? Or am I making that up in my head? I feel like something messed up happened there.
Not unlikely. Plus, it's like one of those things, like with all of like the fakeness that goes on at Disney now. Like, imagine like true crime like this is what I'm picturing. Like that does happen. That happened, and then a bunch of like grifter true crime podcasters go to Disney to broadcast from Disney, totally taking advantage of it. Like
what I like is when people record inside Disney rides that are supposedly haunted to try to find the ghosts. Corn Pop said, "Oh no, he just sent like a little emoji.
It says wait for it."
No, it's a different one.
Different one? Oh,
yeah,
it says
it's like
work.
A laptop.
It says work.
Thank you.
We are working.
Russell Tander said, regarding Netflix's password ban, it's very common in India, but is it the same as in the US or EU? Netflix may end up applying different rules on different regions.
If he's talking about password sharing, that was a regional thing that they rolled out. They always literally do this where like other countries get the problems first. Like they're like, we're gonna enforce this draconian policy, but we're not gonna do it in America yet. We're gonna wait and do it in Chile. Like they roll it out into smaller places and stuff like that. So that hasn't quite reached the U.S. yet. But I do love the idea of like a Netflix policeman showing up to your house with like a nightstick and like saying, you better, I heard your, cause when we were talking about it before, we're like, is this going to be the type of thing where like, I have Netflix in like when I lived in Minnesota, like you have Netflix in your room and like Netflix down in the living room. It's like, what if I'm watching Netflix on my account up here and somebody else is watching it down there?
Maybe if
is
it's
that
on the
person
same
in
router,
trouble? Yeah. I guess on the same
how they
IP.
do it. Corn Pop also sent us that like wait for it message. I don't know. You're kind of creeping me out, Corn Pop. Biddy Beastly said, don't kill the part of you that's cringe. Kill the part that cringes.
Muscle up, basically. Muscle up for the cringe.
Yes, for Velma. Rhaegar Targaryen said, the most correct answer to the poll is neither Hollywood is so woke. Good, that's what I voted. And this is coming from someone who thought Spider-Man was the most competent Phase 4 film. Man, I hope they don't mess up Kang.
Look, they probably will. We'll see.
Let's be realistic.
Well, actually, that's not even fair. Like the movies have a better chance of being pulled off well than the TV shows. There's far more riding on the movies doing well, so they tend to be more reserved. So I mean, Eternals notwithstanding, I actually had no problem with Shang-Chi. Like I didn't hate it.
It felt like rush job, the movie, but other than that, it's fine.
Yeah,
which it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Oh, that was $200 million. That's fine.
Well, my favorite part, I was like, it's the one role where Awkwafina isn't annoying. Like it's like she was, but like for some reason it worked in the script. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, we're moving on, guys. So, speaking of Marvel, speaking of Disney, there's a civil war going. Thank you. There's a civil war going on right now at Disney, in which the fans of Avatar are certainly roasting the stands of, I guess not fans, stands, the stands of Spider-Man: No Way Home. So I guess Marvel fans in general. And the thing that I thought first when I saw this is, look, I know what we do, but it's just like imagine like so much of your identity being tied to like a multi-millionaire's property that's owned by a corporation worth billions of dollars.
Why are we playing team sports with two mega corporations?
Well, it's the same thing when people argue about Apple and Samsung. They're like, oh my God, your phone is...
Actually, really, since this is a Disney film, like you're playing fake team sports with something that is the same team.
Yeah.
But you don't even realize you're the one that's getting played.
It's kind of like when WWE has like this thing where they do a brand split where like SmackDown is one brand and Raw is one brand and they're different. I'm like, not really. It's all
They're on
owned
different
by
days of
Vince
the week.
McMahon.
Yeah.
It's like, and they never stick to the rules where like Raw stars will go over and do stuff on SmackDown. That's what people hated about it the most is they never actually stuck to the rules of what it was supposed to be. Like it was a cool idea in concept, but if you don't actually abide by your own rules, it doesn't actually work. Like if you keep breaking them so that people can make appearances elsewhere, what's the point of it? So it's like this guy who's like, I prefer Marvel and I love Spider-Man No Way Home, and Disney's like, yeah, you tell that Avatar fan how much you love Spider-Man No Way Home. He's the enemy over there.
They're watching two crabs fight.
they're like counting their money as they're doing this. So this is all being said because Avatar: The Way of Water has become the 6th highest grossing film of all time. I have eaten my words sufficiently on this. It's not a psyop. Everyone apparently loves it, even though no one is talking about it except for us right now.
Yeah.
6th in like record time. Record time.
I heard literally one person talk about Avatar outside of...
Who? Like...
out in the real world. It was one kid that I came across at a movie theater who said to their mom, like, I didn't want to miss Avatar, so I didn't take a bathroom break. Like, that was it. I haven't heard anyone outside in the real world talking about Avatar. I haven't seen any memes about Avatar. Haven't seen any Avatar TikToks. That's really how you gauge the cultural success of something,
Apparently not.
If it's going to stick in people's memory for longer than a month after they watch it.
This is exactly what happened with Avatar.
Exactly, yes. And then it was still remembered fondly for some reason. And I was like thinking...
Was it really?
I don't think
no,
it was.
it was. I mean, before the sequel came out, people were like, I loved the first one.
I've never heard somebody say that.
They did in all of our comment sections.
Yeah,
I know you saw in
we got messages
other
about
people's videos about the sequel. They were saying like, we loved the first one. I believe you. You loved the first one, but I also think that you loved living in 2009, and I loved living in 2009 a little bit more than I love living in 2023.
Yeah, I'll take
like
2009
it's
over
about the
2023.
spirit of the moment.
Yes.
When you watched the movie, how did you feel in your life when you watched the first Avatar? Probably felt like we were on a better trajectory. Maybe. I mean, the economy was down, but
I'd rather be
spirits
the
were a
me
little
I am
higher.
now.
I heard that there was going to be hope and change.
There was hope. There was change. No,
Okay, I only said that because somebody in the comments mentioned politics. All right, so here's the comments. So discussing film, who I really enjoy discussing film on Twitter because like they were giving me the updates on Rebel Moon. Like I was reading the updates on Rebel Moon earlier. They have all all of the new images from Scream 6 and all the things that are coming out. They're talking about it here. So here's a bunch of comments. Somebody says, I hope Avatar 3 flops. And then Steel Robot here, he's got the Ukraine flag and a mouse.
Amazing.
Says, of course, we knew this was going to be a huge success, but will the same apply for 3, 4, and 5? That's actually a fair question, right? Especially depending on how far apart this is. Like if there's no 9-year waiting limit, Mary isn't
my
like
great grandchildren are going to be watching Avatar 5.
By that time, that's absolutely true. So then here somebody says, who watched this? Nobody cares about this 13-year-old sequel. It was good, but not good enough to surpass Spider-Man No Way Home. There was so much buzz around Spider-Man No Way Home. There was so many memes. There was so many Instagrams. There was so much TikTok. There was so much organic interest. Okay, you think it was...
No, I think they stoked that a lot. I think a lot of the people are talking about this. They got people talking about it, but they pushed.
People are talking about people talking about this.
Well, it reminds me of when they did the inorganic ad campaign for Fast 9, when they did all the family memes that were really astroturfed and fake, where it's like Vin Diesel fighting Harry Potter with the power of family, and I was like, that's not funny. It's not fun.
But it was
corporate memes.
Like the whole Andrew Garfield is that was a inside job. Go have him do these things.
I'm not going to be in the movie. Although it is really funny now watching people pretend to care about the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Yeah. Like they're pretending like they loved the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies when objectively
I think it's fair to say that people didn't like the movies but loved that Spider-Man.
Okay, I don't know about that. I don't even know if I believe that. Like literally
I love that Spider-Man.
No one loved that Spider-Man but you.
No. I love him as
No, so I'm saying nobody loves
I do.
I can't believe that that's all I remember hearing was okay, that's not true. Okay, you might be right. But the other point is they point out a lot that they all got too crowded. There were so many villains in both of them. Just like there was in in Maguire's third Spider-Man movie, right? But it feels astroturfed, all of this stuff. And this is after James Cameron fans, because James Cameron has his own stands.
Does he have stands? Because I haven't interacted with a single one.
Most of them are in their mid-40s.
This is a couple. This is a real thing. Apparently there are people like this in the world,
and they are at war.
And they're at war
on the internet.
So here's Top Gun Maverick getting beaten by James Cameron in the memes, which to be fair, they're not great meme makers, but that's fine. So they're in their
40s, as you said. So.
Well, are they?
Maybe
are they all in their 40s? There's no way they can all be in their 40s for the movie to make $1.9 billion.
If you are a money man, I would say it's okay to be a James Cameron stan because, I mean, he's got 3 of the top 5.
Yeah.
So don't doubt him.
What are they? It's Titanic, this, and then both Avatars.
Yeah. But everything he's made has been a financial success.
He doesn't. Yeah.
And he has a huge ego about that.
Yeah.
Or did you say?
No,
Titanic?
I said Titanic.
Okay.
I said Titanic, and then these. I was Terminator, not Terminator. Terminator made money, but not that much.
Terminator 2 made money.
Yeah. So it's really interesting that you see all this stuff, and you're like, it doesn't feel real. This feels more real to me than the movie succeeding.
Actually, yes.
People fighting about the movie succeeding feels more real than the movie actually succeeding. And I like the movie. For the most part, I like the movie, other than it being too long.
Did you like No Way Home or Avatar 2 better?
No Way Home. probably. Like,
it's a genuinely better movie.
No, I think Avatar 2 is probably a genuinely better movie, but No Way Home is more fun.
Taste.
It's just was more fun. And even then, it's like it's all that like roller coaster cinema. Yeah. It's like it's the Scorsese thing. It's not really a movie. It's just a theme park.
I just love that they're celebrating Disney making more money.
Yeah,
like I'll never be that person.
No, and nobody should. Right?
I mean, I don't care either way. Like Disney is going to make money or not make money. I care about the quality of the content, but like. I don't know. Like, why do you care?
I
don't
root for corporations, but I root for actors and directors. I think.
Sure,
yeah.
That makes sense.
There's this one here where it's Avatar 2 going door to door with its.
It's the Grim Reaper of the box office.
They should have put James Cameron's head on top of it, not Avatar 2, as it passes Top Gun Maverick, Avengers, Lion King. It's really funny that Jurassic World is like the one right below. Spider-Man No Way Home, because it's just like that's another one. It's not a psyop, but who the hell is talking about that either?
No,
like nobody. Like I actually had fun at Dominion, knowing that it was stupid. Mm-hmm. I know that you were not a fan, and but you know, like it's like nobody's talking about that either. So how do these movies make it to these places when nobody's like when it's not remembered fondly?
And people are so afraid to go to the movie theater because they're afraid of getting COVID.
They're just so scared of being.
I was surprised to see these comments that James Cameron made to The Wrap recently. Seemingly dissing Marvel Studios.
Yeah.
Here's what he said. People forget to put beauty into a film. There's a lot of snark, a lot of sarcasm, a lot of cutesy jokes in movies. Yep. There's a lot of people playing things off as if they're super cool and therefore diluting the sense of stakes, the sense of jeopardy.
He's right.
I go straight at just being earnest. If there's jeopardy, it's real. People could die. Yeah. And if you like what you see, let's just hang out for a bit. Let's not rush through this because of artificial concepts like plot. It sounds dumb, but it works.
He's right about all of that.
I mean, as for Avatar 2's length, it definitely could have been cut down a little bit, but I understand his desire to linger on a moment, especially visually.
It's one of the things, it's my number one complaint for Velma, right? It's that there isn't an ounce of earnestness. There's not an ounce of sincerity in the whole thing, right? Yep. There's never a moment in which they take the risk of putting yourself out there emotionally in any real sense. And it's why it's funny. I do like Spider-Man No Way Home more, but it's more because of the scale of the movies. I'm more inclined to like a movie that's more fun at that scale. It's also a little bit shorter and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But if I had to choose between Marvel cringe humor and earnest filmmaking with characters that have actual sincerity, I will take that any day of the week.
I blame, honestly, Twitter more for this than I do movies, because people became so afraid that their earnestness would be made fun of online, that everything had to be a joke. And so, like, do you remember the moment, like, for you, when you realized, oh, shit, it's not, sorry.
Too late.
It's okay.
Oh, no.
We're past 15 seconds into the segment.
Good heavens. That not one or two brands on Twitter are funny, but they're all funny. And you're like, this is bad.
It's just like, and plus it's I think that comes with like the notion that you can't discern tone. So best to not risk it and be sarcastic because it's a defense mechanism.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's the Gen Z thing is probably a result of this, to where anything earnest is cringe. Like, oh, you mean that? Oh, yeah. But I think that started with us, honestly.
Probably.
Self-deprecating humor was definitely
no, not self-deprecating. No, I'm saying like, ooh, that person has real feeling.
Mean girl humor.
Yeah, I mean, making fun of your own feelings, being self-deprecating, like that is
other people.
Other people. It's
other people's. Like, oh, this movie is serious. That's cringe. It's like unless it's that sardonic, like, I'm dead inside.
Which like dead inside equals deep.
Dead inside, no, it equals cool in my opinion. You're like, oh.
I think both. I think they think of it as cool, but I think that they think that somehow being pessimistic and sardonic means you understand the world better than somebody who's not. They don't, and I hate that. Like,
because the world is ending anyway. The sea levels are rising.
I heard that 2070 now. They're saying 2070. That's like a good amount of time. They're like, not so close, but not so far away. Like, we'll
care just the right amount for us to control control your consumer habits.
Yes.
Look, it's for me, it's just like, and that stuff bothers me. And that's why I liked Avatar as much as I did, is if it had any of that sardonic humor, that 3-hour time length was going to get way more difficult to stomach.
Well, some people would say like James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy has some of that earnestness in it. But then I saw other people saying like because of James Cameron's emphasis on earnestness in films and not being like cute about it. He should be the type of director working on superhero or comic book type of movie adaptations, not people like Taika Waititi or James Gunn.
Well, I mean, those are like the extremes in either direction. Maybe we can find somewhere closer to the middle.
Why is the pinnacle of cinema who's making a superhero movie? like, why is like, oh, well, this should be the guy making the superhero movies? It's like, let them make one and then let them make whatever they want. Like Thor 2 is an abomination, or Thor 4 is an abomination. Thor 2 is actually not that bad. Thor 4, horrible. But I like Jojo Rabbit. Yeah. I thought it was good. Let him make that.
If you want, in my opinion, the pinnacle of superhero cinema, it's the Dark Knight trilogy, meaning that it was not sardonic about the human condition. No. It's actually fairly optimistic about the human condition while having the same bleak tone. Look, there's corruption, there's criminality, there's villainy, but there's also the desire to get to a place at the end of the movie where there's a positive message. And they do that essentially through, though I still, like, my favorite moment is like at the end of, like, when he gets basically cock blocked by what's her name at the end of the first one, when she's like, "This is your mask," and he's like, "Oh, no." That was my favorite part of that
Rachel.
one. Yeah, Rachel. Like, it's like that. But at the end of the second one, it's very, very positive about the human condition, because the idea here is that the humans decided not to kill the criminals, and the criminals decided to not kill the good guys. That is an optimistic message while still having an extremely bleak tone throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, that's very well said. Like I think the opposite side of that coin, too, is the Guardians of the Galaxy, where it is very silly and warm, but it has real stakes, real emotion. The people care about each other. They come together at the end. It's like, oh, crap, we actually care about it. We're all these people. We're all those characters that are sardonic and don't care about anybody, but oh, holy crap, we care about each other.
The idea is that by the end of the movie, they should care about each other. You should not end the movie feeling the same way about the people that you just went through some life-changing experience with. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You wouldn't be like that.
Unless you're really cool.
You know a lot more about the world than, like, you know as much about the world as, like, some cheesy Hollywood writer who lives in Beverly Hills, so you don't need to care about people. But that's also, like, maybe the idea is that back in the day, writers, before they got into Hollywood, lived actual lives and didn't just come through the
conveyor belt of it.
They didn't come through the Hollywood pipeline of Ivy League universities or major colleges, Juilliard and onward, where they don't actually experience the real world or real struggle or hardship before they get there. Even the actors that have to struggle to get places should understand more about, like, look, if you had to wait tables for 10 years before you got your big break, you have a better understanding about what it means to struggle.
This is also why
James Cameron was a truck driver, wasn't he?
Yeah, this is also why we have so many movies that are the exact same. It's not Joseph Campbell. It's because they all went to the same universities and watched the same AFI's Top 100 and read the same books to learn how to make movies. And then they're like, well, this is how you do it. Like, like the Lion King directors, like, there's a very interesting story, I'm not going to go into it, about how they came to make The Lion King and how they put their own experiences into an already established story that made that a richer story than rather what it is, which is a Hamlet remake.
You don't. You're not going to go into detail about it. Okay, all right.
No, just like they lived other lives, had other jobs. Or like, oh, I did this for a while, I did that for a while. But in the back of my mind, I always wanted to be a director, or I was in this. I'd worked in this small theater. None of these people do this really. Yeah, they're all, even if they're in small time stuff, it's in that atmosphere of like, oh, we know. It's about who you know, right? Yeah. Like, we know the same people. We worked at the same small theater, and they watch the same movies, and they read the same books. And so that's just what they regurgitate with comic book characters mostly now. Yep.
So in conclusion, do not stand for billion-dollar companies that are all morally bankrupt.
That includes sports teams.
Actually, like I think,
except for the Green Bay Packers.
No, look. Being a rabid sports fan was a vibe. That like it was the '90s. It was all of American history, right? Look, like all of like what's going on right now in politics and everything is all sublimated through what used to be sports teams. I still like I don't have a Facebook anymore, but like I see like my dad or my brother and they're talking about sports, and I'm like, I love it. Yeah. Like they're arguing with their friends on Facebook or Twitter or something about sports teams, and you know what? Good. Do that. Like
players, yes. Teams, no. Like Robert Kraft doesn't care about you.
Well, no, you're saying players, yes. Teams, no. Like, look, I wear hats from Minnesota teams because I'm from Minnesota.
No, I understand that. I understand that. But it's like just making the point that these are also corporations.
Yes. Absolutely. Also, I just read somewhere that apparently the NBA and the NFL are both technically qualified as like entertainment companies, so they could fix games if they wanted to.
Yep, they could.
Like, I don't know if that's...
NBA is very, very elbow rubby with China.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, remember who's the NBA team owner who's like, nobody cares about the Uyghur Muslims. Yeah. The NBA sucks. Like, but that's like those sports gave way. Did you see the thing about the hockey player the other day who wouldn't wear the jersey with the pride flag on it? It's a thing.
Let's go to Super Chats. 1,000 Foot Deep End said, Mr. Fluffykins podcast vlog Brett was great, but my personal favorite vlog Brett is still, I don't know what a credenza is. Brettward vlog Brett. Brettword?
I don't even, did I say that sometime?
I don't know.
Was I
know Branthovic.
Was I having an out-of-body experience? Was I having an out-of-body experience?
Wesley, do you have any idea what this is?
This must have been a long time ago.
I've seen most of the new Cast Castle, but maybe this is
must have been
deep
very.
cut.
It's been since we started the live show. I haven't had time.
Okay. So. Wyatt Caldenberg said, Brett, Tim once aired the idea of setting up events at local fests. Thunder in the Valley Biker Rally would work for you. I posted a long post in chat.
I saw what you were saying earlier. Was that the stuff about doing man on the street style interviews? It would be very hard given our setup here, but I think the idea that they could move on and do stuff at more events is a good idea, especially given, you can reach a lot of people that way, but it's hard right now.
Steve Gee said, I'm normally putting my news rodeo together at this time, but I took a break to thank you guys for a great show. PCC is my rest stop after a day of hard news. God bless and Mary rocks.
There you go.
Thank you.
Also, I saw a guy in the chat earlier who's definitely trolling. Props to you, my friend. He was trolling hard.
What was he saying?
He was saying that like about Tim losing money. With the show.
Oh.
I was laughing. I'm like, look, I can handle the trolls. But guys, thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for watching the show. There was a super chat last night on IRL that said, whatever you do not get rid of Pop Culture Crisis because Brett and Mary are great and they give me news about the entertainment industry. Like, look, I love that stuff. I love hearing that stuff. It means like I know you guys like it's probably like a meme by now, but I love my job. So thank you.
Tacty Platty said, for the waffle toast pancake, check DMs. That is all.
I will check, my friend.
Benjamin Mauser said, some cult movies seem to have a great momentum for sequels, but then fall short. Tron, Dune, and now Avatar are the best examples. Well, Dune 2 isn't out yet, is it?
Yeah, we will. Well, Dune's been remade, right?
Yeah,
twice.
It's remade.
This is the second time, yeah.
Isn't Tron remade as well?
Not remade,
sequel.
They did the sequel, which I never saw. The sequel.
I
didn't see the sequel.
I
didn't. It had Olivia Wilde in it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, nobody's perfect.
Her only good role.
No. House is her only good role.
Yes,
House.
Okay. Yeah.
She's fantastic.
13, right?
As Remy 13 Hadley, where her like it's really funny too because like I watch that show now and she's bisexual. It would be annoying as hell now because it would be such a freaking annoying part of the character
because it's empowerment.
Yeah, but in the show she dates foremen, she dates women, but mainly she's just a broken person because she's got Huntington's disease. And she becomes like the more interesting arc for her is she goes through a really, really self-destructive phase when she gets her diagnosis. That's what's interesting. It's not watching her be with, though there is
how the world treats her.
Yeah, there is a great episode, however, where like House basically like punishes her to teach her a lesson. It's really, really good where he like, they do this thing in the show where he does all these bad things, and then like the people who work for him have like this weird type of Stockholm syndrome where they like rationalize it to say that he was doing it to help them. And they kind of do this where he repeatedly fires her and then rehires her in this episode so that she'll spend time with this woman that she was having a one night stand with. So he's like, she's like, you wanted me to see if I could still develop a connection with her. And I'm like, I don't know if that's actually what he wanted, but like, good on you if you can rationalize it that way. Taub does the same thing where he basically gets Taub to realize that cheating on his wife is a bad idea by getting him to like ask his wife to be in an open relationship. And Taub is like short king hero in that show because he's bald and short and he just pulls all the hot nurses.
Thank you.
He pulls all the hot nurses at the at the hospital.
Hooray!
Thank you.
Hooray!
Welcome to the potty, pal.
I want to address a troll. I am not a Vikings fan. I saw that in the chat.
Do you have a
They were talking about you, not Brett.
They're talking about me. It said, "Oh my God, Wesley's a Vikings fan." Like, I'm a Packers fan.
I'm not even a Vikings fan, and I'm from Minnesota. Except for I have a Warren Moon jersey somewhere.
Well, everybody's a Warren Moon fan.
Exactly. Am I right? Like also sound effect suggestions, my friend, for like if I'm doing movie quotes, just like The Mask, just like Die Hard.
Oh, I mean,
it's got to involve party or crisis in the wording.
The
Not
movie does?
Necessarily.
Not
It could be-
necessarily.
it could be
The
something else.
tripod sound from War of the Worlds is always good.
Okay. All right.
Or the Inception bois.
Yes. Any Transformer transforming sound effect. Robots having sex.
Amazing. Waffle Sensei said, perhaps it's time to become Waffle Toast Pancake Sensei.
Ooh. That's a big one.
It's like a Pokemon.
Johnny Derp said, when nearly all movies are repackaged versions of, quote, The Message, there is nothing to draw the casual viewer looking for an hour and a half of escapism.
Well, then the question becomes, like, how much of The Message is it that bothers you? We talked about, when we watched Jurassic World Dominion, the funny thing about this was, somebody in the chat earlier was like, that movie sucks. You're not wrong. I loved it. I had fun at it, but it wasn't a good movie. But there's a scene where, what's her name? What was that character's name?
Claire?
No, the other one, the pilot lady.
Oh, who knows?
Oh.
The pilot lady.
You remember what I'm talking about,
Yes,
though, right?
I do.
The one who we said should have been cast as Reva.
What was her name?
I don't remember her name, but this character, right?
These people aren't memorable.
This is the funny thing about this movie, right? So the character is a pilot, and at the end she has a scene where they basically do queer baiting, where she's like flirting with a female nurse. The flirting with the female nurse or her being gay wasn't what bothered me. What bothered me was she's talking earlier about how she got her start as a pilot. She goes, my mom was a pilot in the Air Force. I'm like, that is not what would have happened in the real world. It would have been your dad. In any normal movie, it's your dad that's a pilot in the Air Force. I know there are women pilots. I'm not saying that they're not women in the Air Force. What I'm saying is that the standard idea here is that if somebody likes a profession enough, like as a female, to go into such to a space that would normally be male dominated, you'd be a daddy's girl, right? So she would have been influenced by her dad, but they can't do that because that's the message in a different way. And that bothers me more than the idea of her being gay.
And it's almost blink and you miss it, but it does inform people's worldviews in like intangible ways that you can't prove or quantify, which just makes you feel all the more insane.
Yeah.
CK said, guys, stop sleeping on Avatar 2. It's a non-superhero film, beautifully animated, and not based on existing IP. Let the superhero bubble burst.
I'm assuming you're not talking about us, because I have been nothing but complimentary of the movie itself, other than the fact that I said it doesn't feel like anyone's talking about it. I liked the movie as much as I could like a movie that's that long. Yeah. Like, it was easily one of the best movies that I saw last year. But it was very, very long. But it was beautifully animated, very, very earnest and open with a positive message in an industry that's lacking those things right now. So
I said good things about it as well. I mean, I wasn't crazy about it.
I was also there.
Yeah. Well, like Mary gives me crap because she thinks that I just like everything that we review. I was like, yeah, it was fine.
I mean, you initially have a positive reaction to most things we watch in theaters, probably because of the cheese fries.
I'm still riding the high off of my cheese fries, and I'm like,
good.
it was fine. You know, I got a good meal. It was fine.
And then later on, you're like, you know what was really wrong with it?
It sucked. Like, I don't have my cheese fries anymore. And frankly, that's a problem.
Rhaegar Targaryen said, speaking of rooting for corporations, I love Red Letter Media's parody, The Nerd Crew series, making fun of certain overly excited tubers shilling for franchises. I almost coughed up a lung laughing. I haven't seen
fun
that.
Of friends of mine.
Was it good?
The Nerd Crew?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
do it. It's
I'll
like an
look
ongoing
into it.
thing.
Also, guys,
Okay.
I will shill for something semi-corporate. The honest trailer for Demolition Man is incredible. I did not think that they could do justice to a movie as incredible as Demolition Man, but the honest trailer does do that. It's like, it says, a conservative's wet dream of what liberals actually want. In a future where that is a conservative's wet dream of what liberals actually want.
Honest Trailers was very, very good.
Yeah. I mean,
The departure of Dan Murrell was a huge loss.
There's still some good ones.
Yeah.
Like I don't think all of them are too horrible.
They are not very good anymore.
They had that one about Halo where it says like running a libertarian camp. Like there was a libertarian reference in the honest trailer for Halo. It was crazy.
Potatoes for Seamus said, Brett and Mary better not go anywhere.
Look, that I don't think we're going anywhere, guys.
Potatoes will fly.
Potatoes will fly, and here's the thing: like the
Mashed potatoes will splat against the wall.
if you support the show, watch the just tune in every day. Like
just dip into your fund for super chatting to IRL and just send it to us.
yeah, like the guy last night was like, keep Brett and Mary on the air. I'm like, should have sent it to us. That helps keep us on the air.
1,000 Foot Deep End said the vlog I referenced was quite a while back with Seamus. He called you Brettward. That's hilarious.
Sounds amazing. There was also a really great one where like we did like a stunt double version where Seamus pretends to be like a pro skater, where like it's like him skating around and then it cuts to me, who's clearly like a foot shorter than Seamus, doing all of the skating tricks.
So good.
Incredible. All right, guys, we're moving on.
We're about to talk about The View. Now, I know you if you're watching the show, watching The View is traumatic enough.
Very much so.
But according to Candace Cameron Bure,
there you go.
actually being on The View is far worse. We're going to talk about how Candace Bure was traumatized by being on The View for over a year in 2015 and 16. But first, we're going to talk about some beef that is currently being stoked by a former child star who was interviewed by Candace Bure on The View. His name is Danny Pintaro. He started in Who's the Boss in the 80s. Have you guys seen that?
I've seen Who's the Boss.
I have
Who's the
not.
Boss.
He started leading a more low-profile life in young adulthood, but because of the media threatening to out him, he came out as gay in 2003, back when coming out as gay was somewhat newsworthy.
Well, yeah, like we were talking about it when Adele or who is it that Adele? No, it was what's her name from?
Not Meghan Trainor.
The other one.
Oh my gosh, there are so many. Rebel Wilson.
Rebel Wilson got threatened.
Rebel Wilson, other blonde.
Threatened into coming out.
Yes. And then in 2015, he appeared on Oprah. And he spoke out about a time in his life where he started using crystal meth and he contracted HIV during that time. So when he came out and talked about this, he had already recovered and he was already receiving treatment. He then made an appearance on The View in 2015 to talk about that diagnosis. And he was interviewed by Raven-Symoné and Candace Cameron Bure. And I believe the producers probably chose that lineup because they are all former child stars and they could probably relate on that front. But now, 7 years after that interview occurred, Danny Pintaro is saying that interview was a horrifying experience because of judgy comments that Candace Bure made toward him. And here's what he said about it on the Behind the Velvet Rope podcast. Candace Cameron Bure said, "Do you take responsibility for getting HIV because you were living a promiscuous lifestyle?"
Thank you.
And turned on the spot to my husband and said, "Do you have unprotected sex with your husband?" Correction, by the way, it was Raven-Symoné that asked that question. Yep. Not the first one, but the second one. He continued, "I mean, it was horrifying. It was one of the lowest moments of the journey I had after coming out to Oprah. And so it's not surprising to me that she's taking this stance with Christmas movies that she's going to be involved in. She must have tons of people in her life that are LGBTQ, at least from her past. And how she got to this place is just concerning to me. It's almost like she went backwards in a way. So he said that he regrets going on The View that day now, but at the time, he never told Candace Bure that what she asked him offended him. And, all sympathy due to him aside, he, I think, is obviously hopping on the Candace Cameron Bure hate bandwagon that's trending right now, rather than actually voicing a grievance that needed to be heard anywhere but in private.
Probably doesn't even remember that Raven-Symoné was there.
No, like he could have easily even gone back and watched a YouTube video of his own appearance on The View and saw that was incorrect, but instead he just twisted the story to make her look bad.
Dude,
I just want to watch the actual clip so we can clear her name of that one part though, and see what she actually said.
10 seconds or 15 seconds or something.
It's not long. Yeah. Here.
I want to know, do you take responsibility for your actions?
100%.
For being promiscuous, going into a lifestyle of having heightened sex because of the meth that you were using?
100%.
And then wait for the Raven-Symoné question.
I want to know what the message is, because you want to be the face of HIV, to give that a face. But what is the message that you have? What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't want to be a hero, or
okay.
I don't
and then
want to
after he answers this question,
he looks like Seth Green.
Raven-Symoné points to his husband, who is sitting in the audience. Raven-Symoné, who is gay herself, by the way, so I have no idea why it would be homophobic for her to ask this question. It's just invasive. She is the one who asked if they had unprotected sex. Yeah. So he is completely twisting the story to say that Candace Bure said something she didn't say.
Yeah.
And in fact, her question wasn't worded exactly the way he recalled it either. And he never had anything to say about what Candace Bure said to him before. But now that she's becoming more successful with Great American Family Network and has broken off from Hallmark, he wants an excuse to talk badly about her. He wants to make her look bad.
And it's in his wheelhouse because he's an LGBTQIA member.
He's also about to do a Lifetime movie.
Yep.
That he's going to be in one of these Hallmark Lifetime style Christmas movies himself, playing an LGBT character. So he has a personal beef with her to air out. And once again, it's just the love and acceptance people in this industry going to follow Candace Bure, who disagrees with them, even after they've ostracized her.
It's just...
I'm not saying that was a smart way to word her question, or even a smart thing to ask in that context of the interview. But at the same time, think about what it's like to be the conservative seat on The View. You are the designated punching bag, but your job description is to be the one who pushes back in discussions.
Well, just so they can dunk on you, because you're not actually on The View. Let's face it, you're really just you're supposed to just be a neocon warhawk, like Meghan McCain. But the funny thing about this is, look, as somebody in recovery, I actually winced hearing her say that out loud, because nobody wants to be called out like that. So I get he's wincing at the pushback.
The issue is he's discussing a private
matter very publicly
and becoming a spokesperson for
Look, that's not an easy thing to have to go through, but she worded it fairly. She was not rude. She was not inconsiderate. She just ask bluntly something very, very reasonable to ask you. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just fashionable right now to make fun of her or to hold her to some type of account, especially since I'm the resident, just like I'm the Kim Kardashian stan of this show. I'm the Candace Cameron Bure stan of this show as well. And you just leave her alone, okay? She cannot be
the ultimate simp for
She has a broad palate.
She is a sacred cow on this show. She cannot be.
Definitely.
You leave her alone.
I mean, I think it's just so funny that Candace Bure could not be less concerned with her haters, but they are absolutely obsessed with her to the point where they come up with excuses to talk badly about her, even if the story is the better part of a decade old.
Yeah.
I mean, even JoJo Siwa said that she was the rudest celebrity she had ever met, because when JoJo Siwa was 11 years old, she asked to get a picture with her, and they were on a red carpet, and Candace Bure was like, "Oh, maybe later. I'm a little busy right now."
I love, like, it's like any other celebrity would just say no and walk away. She's like, "Oh, honey, not right now.
Right.
We'll do it later." Like, she's too nice. She looks like she bakes a mean chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah.
She really does. She looks like she is the living
She's
embodiment.
so wholesome. Just look at her.
She looks like she actually makes her own live, laugh, love plaques for the house. Like she picked up a hobby on Pinterest.
No, her husband is really good at wood carving.
And she paints
woodwork,
them. She
and
paints them.
Yes.
Or the kid. No, the kids paint them. She paints them with the kids because she's wholesome. But you know, it's not even hard to believe that a year and a half on The View, because clearly I would imagine she's actually more of a conservative than like a Meghan McCain actually is. So Meghan McCain just accepts that she's a punching bag and that's her job. She's actually cares about it. Therefore, PTSD.
Right. So like, I think that Candace Bure's views on religion, on social matters are nothing new, and she's always had the same convictions about traditional marriage, and she's always been Christian, but only now is she getting most viciously dragged for it. I mean, being the conservative seat on The View specifically in 2015 and 16 would have been especially
16
bad.
16 would have been awful. I didn't know 15 too because it would have been leading up to everything that was going on. Yeah.
Being a traditional conservative voice on a show like that does actually sound kind of traumatic. And I just want to read what she has said about the experience. She said, "The stress and anxiety, I actually have a pit in my stomach right now. There was only one type of stress that I've ever felt in my life. That came from the show. And I have PTSD. I can feel it. It was so difficult to manage that emotional stress. It was very hard. When I felt like I was going into a show that I didn't have a clear opinion about it, or it was something that I was legitimately nervous to talk about because I did have an opinion, but I knew I was the only one at the table that had my opinion, I would just get sick to my stomach. I hated that feeling. And then I'm like, I don't know who's going to come at me."
I will say that I'll push back on her a little bit. It's only so much as she'll allow me because I'm still the stan for her. But calling it PTSD is dorky, and that's not PTSD. You took a job, grow up a little bit here, but. Look,
in a very minuscule way,
yes.
I'm sure both of us can relate because we need to be informed about the things we talk about. And if we have an unpopular opinion, you have to be able to defend it.
Every day, like I'm sitting here giving you my opinions and one eye on the chat, looking at everyone judge you for whatever your views are on anything. Or, you know, I try not to read the comments, but, you know, every so often I accidentally...
I would not call it traumatic
It's not traumatic. It's just part of the job. It's like, look, you've accepted this as your role. I love my job. And with that love of the job comes the little things that suck about it, which is like people saying like, Brett's opinions are all, or like Brett, like what was the, like yesterday, in fact, I'll even address this from the guy yesterday who's like, Brett isn't nice to old people. Like during yesterday's show when I was like literally making fun of millennials for always like blaming boomers for stuff. Like I was like, all millennials do is complain about the housing market that boomers supposedly created, whatever it did create. And I'm like, grow up millennials, you're annoying. And like whoever it was in the chat, bless him, was like, Brett just seems to hate old people. I'm like, I don't. Like I was gonna respond, but like I'd already ended the episode. I'm like, I can't respond now. I'm like, I don't hate anyone, but like, you know, at a certain point, it's funny. I think about the celebrities, and we push back a lot on the people that have the F your fans type attitude. But there's a certain, like, you're eventually going to get so much feedback that you have to kind of disassociate.
Yeah.
You can't be emotionally attached to either validation or pushback because you're eventually going to either be too happy all the time or too sad all the time. You have to just kind of find a neutral ground and ride the middle ground. And for her on that show, it's going to be 100 times worse. I don't know if it's PTSD worse, but it's going to be 100 times worse because they're talking about stuff that gets people way more riled up.
We have Danny Pintaro saying like, "Oh, my interview was traumatic and horrifying."
It was so horrible.
Like, you're only bringing it up because it's trendy to bring it up right now. To hate on Candace Bure because she's doing something successful on her own, independently of these mainstream networks that are now fully accepting you only because the times have changed and it's easier to sell you. You know, they don't care about you or your cause.
Nope.
In any way. They're just
I don't
so
think
delusional.
he does either. If he's got this movie coming up, this is a great way to get the attention on him.
Well, yeah,
and maybe
Right.
they'll use me as a banner to celebrate
Yes.
something. It's a brilliant marketing move.
They've always got some gripe and cause to promote. Right around the time, there's also
Yeah.
a correlating movie to promote at the
Yeah.
exact same time.
Yeah, he's like the sacrificial lamb to promote his movie. At the same time, like, he humiliates himself to sell a product.
Ritualistic humiliation at the
The-
altar of product
the-
placement.
Right.
Defense I would give her, because I'm very much on the same wavelength as far as like I'm so tired of everything being PTSD and trauma. Like, traumas exist, and you can have them socially as well. They're not just war and, you know, abuse. But I could see how somebody in her position doing that job, like you said, it could be it's not just doing a show. Like, if it's like if you're that person in that chair on that show, those producers are going to treat you like dog crap.
It would be
They're
interesting
going
to see
Yeah.
what
make
it
your
was like
life a
behind
living
the
nightmare.
scenes.
They
And-
also write the leads for the questions you're supposed
Yes.
to ask the guests.
But like I have a friend who was a producer for The Bachelor, and like people come out of that show messed up because they do terrible things to the cast.
Like what?
Like sleep deprive them.
Oh,
Cause fake drama, tell them that this person like is trying to steal their identity or something, and then like withhold food for certain, like, oh, the food's late, and do stuff.
we
to
talked
make them
about that.
amped.
Like where they give you tons of alcohol but withhold
Yeah, someone
water
from
and
Love is
food.
Blind claimed that they were like getting fed nothing but alcohol
Yeah.
and no water and no food.
Yes, and,
That's
like,
evil,
yeah,
dude.
And so like the person I know said like they would do stuff like when they're sleeping, they would fake like pipe leaks and stuff to keep them up, and they'd have to go outside when it's, you know, like either hot or cold depending on where it is, just in there,
So
like
weird.
and just so that like when they film at 7 a.m. they're all sleep deprived, and so everything sets them off, and then they would push them into these like sensual encounters with people that they're not connected to, so that would cause drama, and it's very disconcerting.
No wonder we're so screwed up as a society. Like, when that's the entertainment that we value. Like, we can talk all we want about actors being prima donnas, but like these people are actually being tortured on these sets, and we're like, keep doing it. This is fantastic.
Yeah, and I'm sure
the
there
Hunger
are
Games.
analogous situations for hosting daytime television talk shows, especially because those are female oriented. There can be so much like mean girl mentality and catfighting about that. I mean, we even know from like former employees of Ellen, the Ellen show, they said Ellen was like literally a demon spawn of a person,
Oh, I
like
should
that
also
treated her own
clarify,
staff
a
like
Bachelor-esque show.
Oh, it
I don't
wasn't
wanna
The
get-
Bachelor.
okay,
I don't
not
wanna
The
get-
Bachelor.
Not The Bachelor itself. I don't know about that, but a Bachelor-esque
Got it.
show.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, but the thing is, I think like hindsight being 2020, you look at Ellen and you knew that was always a facade.
I mean, yeah, only in hindsight though, because like society used to be more innocent.
It's why anytime any news that comes out about Mr. Rogers, I have to double check. I'm like, tell me he wasn't a pedophile. Tell me.
Please.
Okay, thank goodness. Good, we're good. Like, it's like, don't shatter
False
my
alarm.
reality that badly. Like him and Bob Ross. Like, leave him and Bob Ross alone.
Bob Ross and who was the first one?
Mr. Rogers.
Okay, gotcha.
Like, as long as they're okay. Like, even that, like, he's going to start getting dragged too, because have you seen those clips that are resurfacing of him where it's like, girls grow up to be girls and boys grow up to be boys, and the trans
He didn't say women and men.
boys grow up to be men, girls grow up to be women. But the idea was like,
That's crazy because in his time in history, that was not even a response, like to the contrary to anything.
yeah,
Like in his mind, that was not responding to something saying otherwise. He was just stating a fact to him that was not disputed in that day and age.
but they love to retroactively go back to things and call you evil for something that was completely normal at that time in the world. And that's the funniest thing about the world today is now things change so fast. Everything you said 5 years ago will be abhorrent and a problem 5 years from now.
you know what? I'm okay with that.
Mary's like, she's like,
Whatever.
my hatred is evergreen.
Yeah.
My hatred will.
We're equal opportunity haters on here.
I would like to think
we're gonna make fun of Danny Pintaro and Candace Bure for saying that they got PTSD, and James Cameron Bure.
Is she related to Kirk Cameron?
Yeah, it's just their brother and sister.
Boom! I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So
That's why she gets.
They were also like hating on her brother, saying that her brother is to blame because he has extremist views that influenced her.
What, going to church and hosting like religious story hour at a church or
right.
at a library. Do you think that this is one of these things that this is gonna follow her forever? Like she's never gonna outlive this. Like,
I don't think it'll ever have a massive impact, but it'll always be there.
Because she's kind of planted her flag in the best way possible, meaning the business side of things. So she's always gonna have the infrastructure around her to keep working. But it's like she's kind of like how I see. If you're not gonna be the business person of it all, she's kind of that roadmap to how you can be polite and keep the high road when going through. Like every time somebody's mean to her, she's like, "Well, I'm sorry you feel that way." Like
right.
she's like every time somebody
she literally is like, "I love you."
Yeah, they're like, "We hate you. We hope bad things happen." She's like, "Well, I love you." Like, which, to be fair, if you're unreasonably angry and unruly, that would just be infuriating. It would just make you, and like
Doesn't make it the wrong response.
Part of me wonders if there's like deep down, she's like, "I love you."
Ultimately, it doesn't matter because she is doing the right thing PR-wise. She is unbothered and doing her own thing, and it's doing well. The Great American Family Network is growing quickly. We released a video about it recently. You can go back on the channel and watch that.
Plus, she's got my love, which is really what matters here.
Yeah, and she's got our support. And as for the interview, it was Raven-Symoné that asked the more cringy and invasive question about his sex life. So
we are beyond, in my opinion, where people need to be afraid of this anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I understand 5-7 years ago you're afraid of what people are going to think, but everybody who has been quote unquote canceled is out better and more liberated. Like, oh, I don't have to care what you think.
You have to go through that first ritualistic experience where your stomach drops out and you realize that they've come for you.
But this is true, in my opinion, liberation, where an entire industry is like, we're going to destroy you. And she's like, try.
Yeah.
Try.
Yeah.
And they can't do it now that she's gone independent.
Well, like, what's funny about that is, like, I think about it for me is like, if this like I already have kind of like cover for that at this job because we're encouraged to be ourselves and to not follow some narrative. Like, look, I make fun of the overuse of the term woke as much as I do actually talking about wokeness in Hollywood. I don't want to be reliant on any belief system. I want to call it like I see it on all this stuff. But if something happens at this job, it's not going to stop me from going and working in a warehouse somewhere. Right. Like, it's not going to prevent me. Like, sure, you might be mean to me on the internet, I guess, but I don't have to read that.
Yep,
like, I just turn off the internet. It doesn't matter. So
yeah, there's I just lost my train of thought.
Dude,
okay.
Eventually you will get used to that. It's the most infuriating. Does that ever happen to you? Do you ever just lose your train of thought? Like sometimes, like, because like doing this, doing that, I'm like reading the comments and then
I'll just make a different point.
Yeah, I turn back and I'm like, say something even less intelligent, Brett. You'll just to keep the silence from growing too long.
Oh, I know what it was. It was you were talking about how things change so fast, and like you have to like constantly cover up what you said 5 years ago if you're one of these people, right? Yeah. It's like it's not the reason that she doesn't have to do that is because she is so rooted in a very fundamental way of like, this is what the world is and it will never change. Yeah. And even if you're not basing what you believe based off what the group around you is evolving
that's
to believe.
That's got to be unbelievably liberating.
And none of the people criticizing her have those foundational beliefs that keep them rooted in reality. That's why this is going off the rails.
It's hard for me too because I am one of those like, look, there's a reason why I don't relish reading comments, positive or negative, because I do let stuff get to me and I try not to. And I do think that a lot of people that say that it doesn't bother them, I think that maybe it's true 80% of the time. 20% of the time it might be a cope. Like you have to be like a cyborg to have it not bother you.
Just depends
ever.
what you've been through, probably.
Yeah, like at a certain point, like once you get to a certain size, there's just so much of it that you just can't read. Like Joe Rogan's like, I don't read the comments. Like that would be impossible. It would be 9 full-time jobs to read the comments on Joe Rogan stuff, right? So you've moved beyond needing that. Like I don't know, I wouldn't be able to.
Let's go to Super Chats. Ethereal Menace said Avatar 2 is just 2020's new Best Buy TV demo movie.
Yep.
Nobody's talking about it because it's just Pocahontas 2 with aliens and robots.
What was the other one besides? There's a couple of movies that get that comparison, though. It's just the movie you watch. And did anybody ever see Chuck? The show Chuck.
Love the show.
The show Chuck. My favorite part about Chuck is like it's the joking culture around because it's Buy More rather than Best Buy, and they're always playing Halo and
underrated show.
Oh gosh, Zachary Levi. Like it's really funny. I was
a young skinny.
Like you look at Zachary Levi now, and he's not like yoked. But he's big. Yeah. Like he's
pretty yoked.
He got himself into superhero shape. He's got the fade. He looks like $1 million. And then you watch him on Chuck, and it's like it literally feels like like we talk about the panicky male lead. Mm-hmm. It's the panicky male lead. Yeah. Like in fact, even before,
still very handsome, but nerdy.
It's this in the same
That's
way.
The Zachary Levi thing.
In the same way that they make girls ugly by giving them glasses and a ponytail, they give him like a white dress shirt and a black tie. Yeah. And ugly slacks, and suddenly I'm a dork. But then like you realize he's not really a dork. No, he's just
plays that role well.
Transformers came out in 2007. Yes. What year did Chuck come out? Before that?
It would have to be 2006.
Okay, so that means that Chuck, Chuck, not Transformers, is the original panicky male lead. Is the original panicky male lead because it's literally Sarah Walker, the character of Sarah Walker, dragging his worthless ass around, being all the brawn.
Shout out to Yvonne Strahovski.
Yeah, is that how you pronounce it, Strahovski? Who is, by the way, like still an absolute dime piece. Like, I mentioned the other day, said they did Anna Torv dirty with The Last of Us by making her look like Jamie Lee Curtis in the new Halloween movies. Yvonne Strahovski is still absolutely. Yeah. I say that she's probably like 40. She's like not even that old. Like, but the thing is, like the show came out in 2006, so
she was like, but she's still playing like the young, like she's the daughter in the Tomorrow War.
Yes, Well, she was in the horrible Predator movie that nobody likes but me.
Yes. She's in Dexter. Very good turn.
Yes, she's great, and she's and in that show also Adam Baldwin.
Yes.
Who salutes a picture of Ronald Reagan every time he leaves his apartment in the show. It's the best part.
Corn Pop, I don't want to read that because I don't want to get clipped. Sorry. Tacty Platty said Brett is a great person. 10 out of 10. Would recommend.
Also, Tacty, thank you. I made sure to get Tim your sticker last night. I delivered. Basically, the event on Saturday, I was turned into a mule for several people. I got stickers to people. I got rocks to Ian. I got, I did get your sticker to Tim. He said, thank you. Okay, a rock to Ian. I got, it would be called a stone. Not even a rock, a stone.
A gem.
A gem of some sort. Like, I
still think about that scene from Arrested Development.
Which one?
Do you remember that? I don't want to repeat the line on air, but I would get clipped. So fast. Sketch Therapy, I am not reading that one either. Sorry. Lane said, at this point, Brett's self-admitted contrarian attitude causes him to reflexively be positive about everything. Black-pilled into being white-pilled.
I usually admit I like the movie before anyone says anything about it. I'm the first person when we leave a movie to share his opinion with anyone.
True.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Also maybe it's just because I am more emotional.
I'm pretty emotional dude, man.
The thing is the movie going experience is extremely volatile when it's done right. Yeah. Right? So high energy, low energy.
I'm a movie crier.
Yeah, I'm not quite there.
I haven't seen you cry at a movie yet.
Almost at Maverick.
It's time.
Almost at Maverick.
It's about time.
But look, I admit to being sometimes a contrarian. Maybe sort of.
A little bit.
Dane
bit. Was just calling you out for it earlier today.
Look,
I don't think you are, man. I think out of all the times I've gone with you guys, I'm the contrarian. I'm the one that feels different than you guys. I hated Black Panther. Couldn't stand it.
Wakanda Forever?
Couldn't stand it. Yeah. I appreciate what they were trying to do.
I mean, I didn't I didn't like it, but everyone already knew that was going to happen.
I'll say I loved the opening and the end. Everything in the middle, woo, buddy.
I mean, even the end was cheesy.
But it was well done. The movie wasn't well done.
If being a contrarian is what I am, then I guess the idea is like, at the very least, think through all the ideas that you share. But I'd like to think that everything that I've shared is my actual views on stuff. How easily those views are influenced depending on whether it's a movie, a TV show, your views on things. The funny thing is, we talk so much every day, 5 days a week. Eventually, you're just going to share so many views. Look, there are days where I feel differently about something on a Monday than I feel about it on a Wednesday. I don't care. Like that's just the way it is. Not my core values, but like you could give me a story on a Monday, and my takeaway from that story on a Monday, if I've eaten right, gotten enough sleep, and am not in a pissy mood, will be different than my view on a Wednesday.
Oh, you're human.
Yeah. Like, look, I'm not going to button down and give the same exact viewpoint every time for every idea. First of all, because that's boring. And second of all, because people don't want fake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Alex making beds and writing novel on the side said, just watched episode 14. Love your work, Wesley.
Well, thank you, Alex. I appreciate that.
Dude, I got sent. Okay, here you go. Jessica. Jessica sent me a Slack message the other day with the picture you posted of the timeline.
Yeah.
And it's like, we don't deserve Wesley. Like, respect, my friend. Respect.
Right? Yeah.
Like, I actually had like an old picture that, like an old, like, I got like a message like on back when I had a Facebook a couple years ago from like, it was like a timeline that I had posted from like on Final Cut in like 2007. That was just like, I looked at it and got immediate anxiety at the amount of cuts, the amount of layered effects and stuff like that. None of which like any adjustment to the timeline and everything moves over. And cause all that stuff's timed to music. So it's like any adjustment just ruins it.
Yes.
It's just,
Yeah, dude. My friend of mine from the old days, pre-COVID, at the Schmodown. If any of you know what the Schmodown is, his name's Kevin Smets. He's a TV editor, and he posted a copy of his edit that I think that same day, and I was like, I'm going to do that. His was like 40 video tracks, 40.
that's insane.
And he does like A&E and the History Channel and stuff like that. And I was like, holy crap, I don't want to do that. It's like, I don't want to do that. I'm happy where I'm at.
Corn Pop said not banned.
Oh, also I want to point out, Lane says, Brett's not contrarian, but likes every movie that we all agree are bad. It reminds me of, I stand very hard for Zach from Comics Matter, and he has a separate channel called Splato Del Gato where he does movie reviews. And it is universally understood that if Zach likes a movie, everyone else hates it. And most of the time,
Peter Travers.
Like most of the time when he reviews a movie and he tells me what he likes about it, it's exactly how I would have like explained, like way smarter than me, but like I get his logic right away as to why he likes it. He's much more, I think he's much better spoken than me, and he articulates it in a way that I wouldn't be able to. Like a lot of time I'm just like, I liked it. I'm like, I don't know why, but I liked it. Like I can't actually tell you why, but like that's, if you're actually doing your job well, the average person should just like it and not really be able to tell you why, because the average person isn't actually thinking about it that deeply. They're just watching the movie for entertainment. Right. If you're immediately starting to think about why you liked it or disliked it, then the goal better have been to make a thought-provoking movie. Right. But most of the movies we were reviewing weren't thought-provoking movies. They weren't all Amsterdams or... Sonic. I don't go to Sonic with a deep understanding as to why I freaking love Sonic. I just love Sonic.
I mean, most of the time I'm walking out and I dislike it and I don't know why.
But Oppenheimer will be a thought.
Well, look, that day is I'm going to have to learn how to phase out of my body because I'm going to have to go see Oppenheimer and Barbie on the same day.
Whoa. Oh,
Yeah.
Well, I might only be.
I don't know how we're going to manage that.
There's great meme potential of like we walk into the theater and like one direction says Oppenheimer, one time says Barbie, says choose your path wisely.
Can't they just make it into one movie called Barbenheimer?
Barbenheimer.
Oppen Barbie.
Oppen Barbie.
I'm down, dude. What like? Oh my god.
Fine.
Then you get what's his name as you get what's his name? The actor.
The actor?
Cillian Murphy playing
Murphy.
Ken.
As Ken.
Oh, wow.
Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
Kenny and Murphy.
Maybe 15 years
Yes,
ago would have been
not now, but
Yeah.
he is kind of like smooth skinned. He doesn't have facial hair.
You could actually maybe do it. I mean, Ryan Gosling isn't very
British
young for
Bobby.
the role, so.
He would be a great foil to Ken. Like he's like, oh no, I'm going to lose Barbie to this suave
to
British
this guy.
The Barbie world's lore is
Mummy.
getting so deep.
sequel.
Aritez 00 said, "How dare it was a bloodstone." What were we talking about when this was sent?
Oh, it was what I gave Ian. I'm guessing. Well, thank you for the super chat, and don't worry, I made sure he got it. It wasn't rocks. Look, I'm not as hip to this stuff as everyone else.
You're not a rock expert.
Nor I'm not a crystal chick nor a rock expert. I'm not. All right, guys, we are moving on.
We're talking about British
yes.
people. Isn't
British.
that your favorite?
Love it.
Cillian Murphy.
Not Cillian Murphy. Okay.
He's Irish.
We're talking about Jeremy Clarkson. He is a British journalist and media personality. He's known for Top Gear. I guess that's about cars. I don't know. And he recently wrote a column in The Sun about Harry and Meghan, the people that you can't criticize. If you're wondering who controls the world, look at who you can't criticize. It's Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. And it was a very strongly worded opinion piece. It was a hit piece, to be sure.
Yeah.
And I would like to just share a few lines from it to get that tone across to you.
Do it.
He said, here's the title, first of all. "One day, Harold the glove puppet will tell the truth about a woman talking bullocks." Very funny. Here are some lines from the piece. "At night, I am unable to sleep as I lie there grinding my teeth and dreaming of the day when she is made to parade naked through the streets of every town in Britain while the crowds chant shame and throw lumps of excrement at her." This was apparently a reference to a Game of Thrones scene,
Yeah.
but he didn't say that in the article, so a lot of people thought he was actually calling for this to happen.
It's also very over the top.
Yeah, it's not.
It's very over the top, but it's very British.
Yes.
You know,
It's also
like,
badass. So
it's also written well. Like I won't pretend it's not. It's satirical too, but that's not allowed
what do
anymore.
the kids say? Go off, King.
Another thing
Go
he
off,
said
King.
in the article is, "It seems Meghan Markle has her arms so far up Prince Harry's bottom, she can use her fingers to alter his facial expressions."
What a missed opportunity to use arse.
Right.
They
yeah.
love arse.
Maybe that's not allowed in The Sun.
Must not be allowed.
But yeah, like, damn, Jeremy, let us know how you really feel about them. And he said he hates Meghan Markle on a cellular level, which I honestly can relate to. Like, I'm so far, I don't see anything wrong with this. I'm not offended. I'm not scandalized. But everyone in the UK was. I think he said over 60 British MPs called for some nebulous action against Jeremy Clarkson because they don't value free speech in that country. They don't have a constitution that protects it. That's essentially why.
Barely works here anymore. There was a story on TMZ today about a guy at the Mall of America, so in Minnesota.
I saw this.
Who like was asked to remove a shirt that said "Jesus saves" because it was offending people.
I saw that. Yeah.
But they were being a little bit misleading. It wasn't the "Jesus saves" part that they didn't like. It was the fact that it had the coexist logo and it was X'd out.
That's even better.
That was what they didn't like. But
that's even better.
So the headline was a little bit misleading.
I just think it's awfully ironic that the British would be the ones to finally kill satire as a genre of writing and humor when that's supposedly their thing.
Dry humor.
Yeah.
Their thing.
So Harry and Meghan rejected his apology, which he posted on Instagram. Here's what he said in the apology. It's very long, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. He said, "I knew what had happened straight away. I'd been thinking of a scene in Game of Thrones, but I forgot to mention this. So it looked like I was actually calling for revolting violence to rain down on Meghan's head. I was very angry with myself because in all of my controversial days on Top Gear, when I was accused of all sorts of things, it was very rarely sexism. We never did women can't park gags, for instance, or suggested that powerful cars were only for men." So I think he might still be pulling a satire here.
I like it. I mean, that's the best kind for them, right? Like
Yeah.
it's so dry. There was actually this would be kind of a hard one to. There was a picture that I sent to someone where it says like when your sense of sarcasm is so advanced, people just think you're an idiot. Like, they didn't use the word idiot, but we'll make it safe for the family.
The response to this column was so over the top. Like he has been raked over the coals. It's like people want his career to be taken away. Even his own daughter denounced his comments.
That is so the world
wild.
We live
Like
in
she
now.
would turn him into the gulag when the time comes.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because he said something about the girl from Suits.
Right,
that
exactly.
she's never met.
Yeah.
And likely, and the most she probably cares about Harry now is those weird comments about touching himself while he thinks of his own mother.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. We reacted to that last week. It was very disturbing. So a spokesperson for Harry and Meghan rejected the apology, saying, while a new public apology has been issued today by Mr. Clarkson, what remains to be addressed is his long-standing pattern of writing articles that spread hate rhetoric, dangerous conspiracy theories, and misogyny.
Oh my God.
Unless each of his other pieces were also written in a hurry, as he states, it's clear that this is not an isolated incident shared in haste, but rather a series of articles shared in hate.
Oh, I was hoping they were going to go there. I was like,
They went there.
They
fully
you
went there.
know that the person writing that was like,
I'm the next Dr. Seuss.
I am so good.
And now Amazon is likely to drop their business relationship with Jeremy Clarkson.
These companies are such cowards.
They're about to drop
Unbelievable.
the final episodes of a couple of shows he presented. They're called The Grand Tour and Clarkson's Farm.
Such coward. Like literally this is fake. It's like what Tim did a video the other day where he talked about the thing where he did at Freedom Plaza, where it's like if you didn't know that they were talking about it in the internet, nobody would freaking know this is going on. You could air those shows, the viewership numbers might go up. They're not going down because Jeremy Clarkson was mean to the chick from Suits.
Right. I mean, she is the ultimate victim cash cow. She is the perfect victim cash cow for mega corporations to defend. And that's exactly what happened. It's very predictable.
Weird.
The media is totally in lockstep with Harry and Meghan. And
Why?
I have no idea why.
Why?
I don't know.
I have to know.
Like, they're not likable media personalities.
No, they're not.
They thought that they were going to surpass the royal family and the Kardashians combined.
Like when they did
and now everyone just hates them.
Well, no, see, the thing is, I really do think that these companies are like, I wax and wane back and forth between they're evil geniuses that know exactly what they're doing. And then you look at the movie divisions of these companies. They don't know what the frick they're doing. Anytime they get something right, it's by accident. I fully believe that Top Gun Maverick, for the most part, was luck. That it was luck and Tom Cruise's ability to negotiate the terms of the film. Right? Like if he didn't have that bargaining power and like, we're going to make Top Gun Maverick and it's not Tom Cruise and they put some other actor in there, it never gets even made half as well. Everything that's going good right now is being done because one person is intelligent and has a lot of bargaining power. These companies aren't evil geniuses. They're dumb. Look, nobody they're dumb.
I think it's a mix of both.
The disorganized. Like nobody watched that Harry, Meghan, and Oprah thing and thought these are three likable people. And it's like they've forgotten the idea that nobody in their right mind wants to watch celebrities whine about their problems.
Yeah. I mean, but apparently
But there's
there
lots of
is
people not in
an
their right
army waiting to destroy the life of anyone who criticizes Meghan Markle.
Why? She's not going to
I
sleep
can't
with you,
relate
dude.
to these people as
She's
human
not going to do
beings.
you. She's going
Right.
to do the weirdo she's with, I guess.
Probably not,
Maybe.
yeah.
Like,
Probably not.
I mean, she's probably got a migraine. So not tonight.
All the
She's-
time,
Not
actually.
tonight, she says. But like for the most part, she look.
This is like USSR kind of mentality where even your close friends
but-
have an opinion about what you say about Meghan Markle.
Let me paint a picture though. For forever, but let's say for 2 years, you call everybody a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
Everybody on the internet is a conspiracy theorist. But then you say, I don't like the girl who's affiliated with the royals, and all of the biggest corporations in the world are like, we're shutting you down. It's like,
He said, I was mortified, and so was everyone else. Very close friends were furious with me. Even my own daughter took to Instagram to denounce me. The son quickly apologized, and I tried to explain myself, but still there were calls for me to be sacked and charged with a hate crime. A hate crime for writing a satirical article about inserting Meghan Markle into a scene of Game of Thrones.
Would it have been that hard for the kids to just shut the hell up and not say anything?
Well, no, because Meghan Markle needs her defense league to mobilize every time that a journalist dislikes her. Dude. What are they going to do to Piers Morgan? Piers Morgan is one of the... He hates Harry and Meghan more than almost anybody.
Dude.
What can they do to him?
Like, a lot of times I kind of push back when they're like, it's a cult. It's a cult. It's a weird, if it's not a cult, it's a weird mind virus that has infected society in a way which we never could have predicted just how bad everyone in the world being connected together all at the same time, how bad that was for the human psyche. Like, to the point where, like, look, if you took all these people's phones away, put them in the middle of nowhere, and then just said, just like a week goes by and you're like, you defended a complete stranger over your own father because of an article he wrote on the internet. Yeah.
A stranger who doesn't like you.
At best doesn't like you.
Yeah.
At worst, like, would see themselves as below them and doesn't know you exist. Bonkers. Like, and then, but the thing is, there's a precedent for this because there's weird celebrity worship online. I don't know why that's a thing, but it's a thing. People love to stand celebrities on the internet. People love to go to the defense. This comes from shipping. This comes from Tumblr. This comes from that entire...
I think that's an element of a much deeper problem. Like
what?
It's like celebrity. It's not a cult of personality around celebrity. Celebrity is a symptom of we so desire to be ruled. Like, we desire like something above us. So, like, not us, but most people. Like, some people realize that and some don't.
That's want
so something above. It's biblical. Like, Israel demands a king. Like, it is there. It is part of our makeup. I don't know why.
I don't get it.
And it's the worst among us that we worship.
Nobody.
Among us? Sorry.
Nobody.
It's sus is what I'm going to say.
Like, you should consider nobody above reproach.
No.
At all. No. Especially not Meghan Markle.
Yeah, the idea that, like, this person's life is so hard. She was a TV star who married into the royal family of the former world empire.
Literally became a princess. Then left the royal family.
And complained about it.
To have a book deal and a Spotify deal and a Netflix deal.
Complained about how hard
and
it was to be a princess.
Tabloids.
Maybe actually what it is she actually destroyed a bunch of little girls' dreams when she's like, it's so hard to be a princess. And then they're like, wait. So, like, even being a princess is a lot of work? This is going to freaking suck.
So I'll go out on a limb here and say she probably does have a massive beef. There's few people on this planet that I despise more than royals. Just like elite. Not a fan. Not a fan.
Okay.
So I would imagine marrying into that would be really awful. I probably wouldn't like them either. So if I married some princess or duchess or whatever they're called, I would probably be very upset with them, with
Kate
the choices
Middleton
they
is
make.
a vibe.
But how do you make a villain turn? Like, I don't know. I don't even understand how you can be so unlikable that you're the bad guy.
Yeah.
Even if the royal family is as evil as they say,
I believe
it turned her evil.
Yeah.
Right?
Or it made her worst tendencies flare up.
And the narrative that she's been exiled from the UK and she's been rejected by them and all of the UK is so racist and hateful and discriminatory.
Plays right into the narrative.
Plays right into her narcissistic narrative where she gets that input and she's fed by all of the hate and the anger.
Was it like Andrew Schultz or somebody's like, it was Andrew Tate who's like, how does she get to claim black card? Like, she's white.
Right, because she even admitted in interviews before that she was always treated as if she was white growing up. In California.
Yeah,
but then when she showed up in the UK, she said, "Oh, it was such a big deal that I was black. Everyone made me feel so weird about it that I'm a different race."
She's eggshell.
She's lying. She's lying. Like, it will never make any sense to me. The love of the royals, I guess I kind of get if you're from the UK and it's part of the culture you grew up in. It's a fascination. My mom loved Princess Diana. You know, for what it's worth, the world was a different place back in the 90s, and the culture around celebrities.
She's not one. You know what I mean? She's a Meghan Markle.
Yeah.
The same with Kate Middleton. Like,
hey, you leave. I stand Kate Middleton.
I do too.
Here. She's a vibe.
And even if all of the tabloid stuff is nonsense, I still like the idea that Kate Middleton just ruthlessly bullies Meghan Markle. Because someone's got to do it. Yeah. Someone needs to take that job. If it's not going to be us, it has to be her.
Kate Middleton's got a. She's just very. In fact, she might be more sus. Because she's just very good at putting on the forward face of like she's so nice outwardly that she's probably awful behind the scenes. She is. She's probably like just the meanest. Like she gets in her car, she's like, "Drive, pleb." Like I guarantee. Like this is like, don't trust anyone. But maybe don't worship any of these people.
We like her because she stays quiet.
I mean, if you idolize someone, you will end up despising them eventually in your heart because they will not live up to the expectations you set for them. False idols will always disappoint you, and you end up being angry at them. So maybe the public sentiment on Meghan Markle will shift.
It's funny too, because this is a thing that happens on even for the smallest of people on the internet who gain any level of notoriety. They all have the same kind of story where it's like, say you have like a moderate, like a successful YouTube channel of any size, right? And you get the people who are like, they love your work and they're really positive about your work right off the bat. But then the second that you have an opinion that they don't like, they're like, why don't you agree with me? And then
the second you get an allegation that is unverified.
No, I'm not even saying that. I'm saying like if you don't agree 100% in lockstep with everything they do, then they have like this weird. Then they try to do the concern trolling.
Oh my
and
gosh!
then
I just realized something.
What?
Pokimane is the Meghan Markle of Twitch. I need to pitch this to Dane as like a concept, and we're gonna workshop it. He totally agrees with me. Because Pokimane has all the right opinions.
It's
she just like she knows exactly what is the most marketable thing to say or not say at every moment. It's almost suspicious.
She gets like an update every day, like what is the acceptable, like what is the acceptability ratio? She's like, what is the acceptability ratio on this opinion? What is the acceptability ratio on this opinion?
At least in the respect that she's incapable of taking criticism, she's exactly like Meghan Markle because she wants to penalize people legally for trolling her on the internet.
I mean, those people are just authoritarians too.
Damaging to my mental health.
Like the fact that Jeremy Clarkson has to think, maybe it's time to retire.
Yeah. Because
he wrote one article talking shit about Meghan Markle. Are you kidding me? Hopefully this would never happen in America.
Also, why is it such a thing now where regular people cape so hard for like rich people?
Right. I mean, we were just talking about this with like the team playerism of two Disney franchises. Like, it's a blackpilling thing to talk about.
It is.
People need to get woke.
It's time to get woke, guys. Time to get
wake
woke.
up.
It just makes no sense to me. But the thing is, the Royals never made sense to me. None of that stuff ever made sense to me. But that's because like the people that I like I post things a lot about people that I've not idolized as people, but have idolized things they've done. I love certain athletes for things they've accomplished. I love Ken Griffey Jr., but I don't freaking idolize Ken Griffey Jr. And if you don't like him, I certainly have no less of an opinion of you for not liking this person. That's freaking weird, dude. I don't know him. He just, his work as a baseball player made me feel some type of way when I was a child. Therefore, I have fond memories of that person. That's not the same thing as like somebody who capes super hard for some person they've never met because Meghan Markle is this supposed to be She's Every Woman? Is she?
I mean, she has a podcast all about how every time she's ever been marginalized or mistreated in her life, it's because she's a woman. And she talks to other women who are incredibly privileged about how hard it is to be women.
Her and Megan Ravioli over here talking about the Emily Ravioli
or Ratatouille or whatever her name is. And it's just rich privileged, often attractive women.
Always, not always, but mostly attractive women.
Just complaining about how hard it is to be them.
My life is so hard. Do you know how hard it is to be a 10 in America as a woman? It is just the hardest thing in the world to be really. It is kind of. And I understand this is not a one-to-one comparison when women are like, it's so hard to walk down the street with all of the.
I'm not saying there aren't hardships in being a woman.
No, of course not.
Like, can you have a personality outside of complaining about them?
Like you can make those complaints, but make it a layer of your personality.
Yeah.
Like don't make it the only thing you care about. Or the only thing that's marketable. It's like you talk about, like whenever Ratatouille talks, it's always about men because there's nothing else interesting about her.
Yeah, and I've like met women like that who can't talk about anything but men and dating and how much dating sucks these days and men are awful.
She fails the Bechdel test.
Just get a hobby. Emily Ravioli.
What would
get a hobby?
What would her hobby be?
Crochet, something. She has a child even. Hang out with your kid.
Hang out with your, like, why doesn't she talk more about the kid? Like she's like, she forgets sometimes she has it. Like, it's literally like a purse puppy. It's literally a child
Wait, wasn't
purse puppy.
she the one that took the picture of her with her baby where she's like holding it like a rag doll?
She doesn't know how to hold, she literally doesn't know how to hold children.
These people are not human.
Emily, she's just a really hot woman.
She's a model. She was in that Robin Thicke music video, Blurred Lines.
Oh, Emily
Ratatouille, whatever.
It's Ratajkowski,
okay.
but we call her Ratatouille.
I know who that is, but you called her Emily Ravioli, and I was like, is this a streamer?
No, she has a baby, and there was this picture of her holding her baby. Like
I thought she was supposed to be
a literal
brilliant.
Purse.
Isn't that the narrative on her? Is that she's brilliant? She has a PhD in political science or something like that.
Does she? She never talks about political science. She only talks about how much dating.
I give her she has a small pass in my book because I remember after January 6th, she tweeted, "Don't trust this. This is what the security state does."
Wait, seriously?
This is not. This
You're
can't,
kidding.
This no.
Emily
This can't be the same person.
Jowski, whatever. Yes, same person.
It's just like how Lady Gaga said that she she went to the Capitol to investigate.
She got like a magnifying glass
to investigate
and a Sherlock
January
Holmes hat.
6th.
And she's like, I'm here to figure out.
I looked for evidence. She said.
I'm loving.
I remember that. Yeah,
dude,
I
love
So
the
good.
idea of Lady Gaga
Just
with like
vapid celebrities
she's got her own
J6
cameraman,
truthers.
and she's got a microphone and a magnifying glass. She's like, I am here to uncover the truth behind what really
Emily
happened
R is
on January 6th.
very
So good.
anti-military industrial complex. So I'm.
I have not seen those takes from her.
Until I see, I'm gonna need.
I'll believe it when I see it.
I'm gonna need to see the evidence. Jamie, pull that up.
She just realized she can't bring that up on her podcast because the brain dead rock sitting across from her will be like,
Who's on her podcast?
Creative,
just random models and YouTubers.
Creative
and stuff.
Juice says she deleted that seconds later, so she's a coward.
She did? I didn't know that.
Coward.
Well,
see.
she did say it at least.
Okay. We'll look for proof.
Well, I mean, she loses the credit, obviously, but still, she said it.
Okay, let's go to Super Chats.
We got a couple.
Appaloosis144 said, best quote from Adam Baldwin on Chuck, the only thing I hate more than dirty hippies is the corrupt corporate fat cats they became. Edited for YouTube.
It's he says that's the quote when he's coming into the Buy More after they staged a Buy More revolution with other, and they're like we're staging a revolution to take down the man, and he's like, I want in. he's like, how do we know that we can trust you, man? He's like, because the only thing I hate more than neoliberal fat cats and anarchists are the hypocrite fat cat suits they eventually grow up to become. And he's like, his face gets increasingly manic as he's saying this, and all the people in the store who don't realize that he's like literally an NSA agent are like, okay, cool, yeah, let's do this. Let's do this, yeah. Great.
1000-Foot Deep End said, Oppen Barbie, where they gender swap Oppenheimer to be played by Margot Robbie. Make it real. Women controlling nuclear war. Terrifying.
What could go wrong? It's the meme about like it's the women. It's like when
if women ran the world, there would be no wars.
No.
Okay.
There's the thing. It's like what, like if the world was like if there were no women in the world for 24 hours, the world would be at peace. And so he says, yeah, but, and then it cuts to that video of all the cars perfectly fluidly going between intersections. No, like there's literally people walking through the intersection as cars pass right by them. It's like there would be no accidents either. Or it's the two girls in the ambulance, and says it's this cringe TikTok, and they're like, what is better than one cover girl? 2 cover girls, and then it cuts to like an ambulance flipping over.
Big Dave sent us 99 cents without a message.
Strong silent type as always.
Biddy Beastly said, the corporations are not cowards. It's a top-down reformation. The people batching have no money and always... bitching have no money and always lose when it comes to boycotting.
I mean, is that true? Like, is it so much that they believe it that they just want to see what they can get away with and then push and then pull back as soon as somebody gets called out on something? Or are they just cowards? I think they're just disorganized and cowardly.
I don't think that boycotting mega corporations actually foments change.
No, not really. Not in the way
Maybe
we would
a
like.
symbolic change. It's just like when we were like,
do it-
boycott Balenciaga. Well, I mean, you're not in the elite class that wears Balenciaga anyway.
If you boycott products, it should be for your own peace of mind,
Sure.
more than like the opportunity to create actual change there. It's possible, but it usually doesn't work. But if it's for your own values, then that's what matters. Like if you stop using a product, stop using it because it means something to you to not use that product, not because you actually think it's going to change a bunch of hearts and minds, because it usually doesn't.
Good App said, in a Harry Meghan divorce, who comes out better?
Him.
You think?
Get away from her, man. Like
Well, will he keep his money?
Get all your guns back. And
I actually didn't Harry like give up his inheritance
I don't know.
to like leave the royal family officially
so that he could get his $20 million from Netflix. Oh darn. Like, what am I going to do?
Bad idea, dude.
The
money
money
is gonna dry up pretty quickly.
I mean, she's gonna dry up quicker, so actually
Burn.
take the money.
Biddy Beastly said they aren't just all dumb in the same exact way. It's manufactured consent.
As far as these corporations,
Forget what we were
probably
talking about when this was sent. Elder Nerd BK201 said, Shoe Head should never be on IRL, but she's perfect for PCC. Bring on the shoe.
That would be interesting.
Why shouldn't she be on IRL?
Tim would love
though?
to have her on IRL. Like,
Tell us why you think she shouldn't be on IRL. But yeah, like that would be entertaining. I watched her so much in like early high school. And like at the same time as I was watching like all the Sargon of Akkad videos and stuff, like that was a good time.
What was early high school for you? What years? 2015.
2015, yeah.
Sargon's great. He's another one who's I wish I could be half as articulate as.
Yeah.
Corn Pop said, "Do a poll, duck pop."
Well, actually, I don't know what that.
I'm so confused.
I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna close the poll that we had going, and the answer is, ladies and gentlemen, neither. Hollywood is so woke. Oh my God, everything is so woke.
Who is
these
shocked
days.
right now?
But second place was Spider-Man: No Way Home with a resounding 46%. So if there hadn't been that third option of Hollywood being so woke, it would have been Spider-Man.
I almost
No Way
didn't
Home.
want to do a third option because I wanted the real answer.
Yeah, I
but
know. Well,
Hollywood is just so freaking woke, guys. It's getting so woke. Keeps me up at night.
We're missing out on our chance to really grow this channel by making fun of people that overuse wokeness as much as we make fun of wokeness. So we would really be making waves if we just stepped down that.
It's nice to be an independent thinker.
There you go. All right, guys. We got a couple more things. I really want to talk first a little bit about this Netflix lineup that's coming out for 2023. We're not going to spend a super large amount of time on this, but there's a good amount of stuff coming out from Netflix this year. For me, the biggest ones are Luther, The Fallen Sun, which I am terrified of, honestly, because there's no reason to go back to that well. Have you seen Luther?
Love
the show
Luther. Love it.
Luther was a BBC television show about a character played by Idris Elba in 2010. He's kind of toxically masculine.
He's British cop house.
Yes, he is. And Fantastic Alice in that show is freaking great and nutty in a great way.
I could fix her.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I can fix her.
Are you looking forward to Rebel Moon?
Cautiously optimistic.
Get him away from the Snyderverse. Get him away from DC properties and see what Zack Snyder can do with it. Look, Zack Snyder is kind of in that same realm, not in the same level of earnestness, but he's not about the cringe humor. No. He wants, like, when he made his DC movies, these are serious stories about serious world-ending events that do not need people cracking wise at the exact moment the world could end.
Yeah.
That's not the same thing as being like earnest, but it's taking serious events in a serious nature, which is what you're supposed to do in that type of story. If anything, like when a superhero cracks wise, when some villain is trying to end the world, first of all, it speaks to their level of power and the indifference to the circumstances in a lot of ways. Like, it doesn't seem cool anymore. Maybe 20 years ago, it's like, oh, look how cool he is. He's cool under pressure. It doesn't come across that way now. It comes across as cynical and detached.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that they had we're getting off the topic of Zack Snyder, but the problem is that they had one guy who, that was his character, that to stay cool under pressure, he acted that way. And they're like, well, let's have everybody act that way.
Yeah.
And it was Tony Stark. Like, he's a guy who's like, I have to do this so that I maintain the mental status I need to do this.
They really thought that Robert Downey Jr.'s ability to pull that off was going to somehow work for all of the
I think they
MCU.
just thought, oh, this is it. Not that we had a very talented person with a very interesting, complex character.
They thought the humor is what sold it,
Yes.
not Robert Downey Jr.
Yes.
Which
Not
is
a
weird
well-done
because
character,
they
but-
spent tons of money to keep him around.
Yeah. Well, call him A, call him B. But the Zack Snyder problem is he has cringe characteristics or tendencies as well
What
in the
is
opposite direction.
Like what? Too serious?
No, like not too serious. Too serious it sounds weird. I would say too what's the word? Like over dramatic, melodramatic.
The overt slow motion for
Yes, and
extended.
this is the most important moment.
I think my favorite.
Pay attention.
I think my favorite one is the one in the Justice League when it's just the flowers crashing to the ground.
Yes,
and it's like a five.
No, the oranges.
I'm the
falling.
orange.
Yeah.
Yes, the orange is like it's like a 5-minute shot of like 120 more than it's like 200 frames per second of just oranges crashing to the ground.
Yeah, because
very serious.
Society is out of control because a teenager kicked over a bushel of oranges, and it's like, bro.
We need to talk about this.
And his music drops are so. Like they're right on the nose, man. Like the needle drops that are going to play this song.
Yeah.
Other times they are.
Yeah. Like he wanted to use "Hurt" by Johnny Cash, but couldn't because they'd already used it for Logan a couple years earlier. It's like, damn it, they used it. Look, and the other thing for this is like, hey, somebody in the chat says the "Do you bleed" line. I love the "Do you bleed" line from Batman vs Superman. I love, like, a lot of people criticized his use of altering the voice mechanically rather than doing it.
I liked it.
I loved it too.
Even Martha, I liked the Martha. I will say it sounds silly at first, but when you think about what's happening there emotionally,
you're caught up
you understand.
Emotionally in the moment. You're beaten, you're bruised, your adrenaline's pumping. Yes. I do think it's weird that he chose Martha. I actually think it would have been 100 times more impactful because I think have you seen Batman vs Superman?
No.
So in this line, basically, Batman is beating up Superman, and Superman's on the ground, and he calls to Superman to save Martha. And the thing is they both have moms named Martha, so it snaps Batman out of it. Realistically, the idea that an alien cares enough about a mother in that moment would have mattered more to him. Because what if Batman's just like, who the hell is my Martha? Your Martha? What Martha? If he had just said, save my mother, the idea that Batman, who has been dehumanizing this character as an overpowered alien who could one day be hell-bent on world domination, I think the idea of him caring about his own mother would have snapped him out of it better than just saying Martha.
See, I disagree because this movie, one thing it did by showing because how many times do we have to see Bruce Wayne's parents get killed?
Yeah.
This was fine because the idea was that this particular Batman was so self-centered right now. He was so driven. Like, I'm going to take out this threat, even if there's a 1% chance we're wrong, whatever he says. But that when it hits home for him, so he takes a moment. He says, "Wait," and then it hits him. So it's the fact that it's Martha. He's like, "What do you mean?" So he self-analyzes, and it hits him at an emotional level. And it's all he needed to shock his system. And then when he realizes, oh, this person is more human than not. Or, more human than not.
I thought, or at least than I thought. Look,
like, I think that's kind of realistic.
Yeah. I was also a really, a criminal
It's
misuse
silly,
of Callan Mulvaney, the actor who played the one that Andre Nickel played in KG Beast. So the guy that he copies the phone of early in the movie when he's at the fighting event, like that actor is fantastic. That actor has like, we talk about a lot about Mary about Cillian Murphy's eyes. This guy has like the eyes. That actor,
deadest
like
of the
they're
dead eyes.
incredible. Like that guy could have been used infinitely more accurately. That rather than playing KG Beast as a side character, I feel like they could have used him as a better character. Also, my one critique for that franchise is I think they should have used Batman like Thanos. I think they should have used Batman as an after credits character for the first 5 DC movies, and the whole first half of the DCU should have been Batman preparing to take on Superman. So every post-credit scene is him figuring out something else about what Superman was doing. Like one, you see him putting up a map of the ocean where he finds the kryptonite. Another one's him. It's the screenshot of him finding the Flash and the thing. And they could have used it, and they don't even need to name the actor. They could have waited to name the actor by just doing behind the head shots and stuff like that. But that was a wasted opportunity. So we've got that. We've got Rebel Moon, Heart of Stone with Gal Gadot. Which then somebody's going to say, that's not the right pronunciation. And I got to pull up the clip again. Gal Gadot, who is really doing really well outside of Wonder Woman 1984, which nobody likes. She's as close to a female, like, is she like her, Margot Robbie, and
Anya Taylor-Joy and Ana de Armas?
I would even put Gal Gadot above them, kind of, as far as like, she's in less stuff, but
bigger stuff.
Yeah. That Anya Taylor-Joy is like a really, really good actress that's doing a lot of really good work, but she's in more things. Yeah. I think Gal Gadot is a closer example to someone who's like,
if you went to a normie parade and said Anya Taylor-Joy, they'd be like, which one is she? But Gal Gadot. You say that, and they're like, oh yeah. Well,
then Margot Robbie just seems like she's part of the club. Yeah. You know?
And she's also like, there was an article.
She doesn't seem to be, a box office draw that much lately.
There was an article written by Cosmic Book News saying like, is she really a draw because like her last 7 movies, like she's not supposed to be the lead, she's supposed to be the very, very charismatic second.
She's like, that's how I feel about Jai Courtney. It's like, he should never be a lead, he should always be a quirky side character.
His best work was in DC, like that was like that, and like nobody wanted him in Terminator, nobody wanted him in he was good in, he had like 2 scenes in Reacher, and he was good in those 2 roles.
Yes, but he was playing like a villain, like a real villain, not even like, he was in that Divergent series and he was terrible. Like, not his fault, it's just a nothing character.
Were there any of
I like him.
Yeah,
I think he's great.
Someone said Wonder Woman 84 is the best movie ever.
Hey,
that's your opinion, man.
One
thing you seemed to be like a little bit miffed by was The Mother with Jennifer Lopez. I'm looking forward to that one. I thought that was an intriguing
The Mother with
snippet.
Jennifer.
Did I even say
confused with
what did I say?
With Jennifer
did I say
Lawrence?
something?
You just seemed like kind of bothered that it was focused on a mother and not a father protecting a daughter. It says a deadly female assassin comes out of hiding to protect the daughter that she gave up years before while on the run from dangerous men.
That's weird. Was this not today? I didn't say this.
No,
right?
it was today. It was like just some nothing comment you made, but I am looking.
It was
forward
probably.
to
it was probably sarcastic, but like I like Peppermint. I
awesome.
liked Peppermint with Jennifer Garner. Like it's a difference.
She's like actually believable as a badass.
Yes, like the other one was Extraction 2. Love Chris Hemsworth. The first Extraction movie, was that Stahelski? Was that Chad Stahelski that did it, or was it one of the other John Wick?
No, it wasn't a John Wick. It was the Captain America guy.
Yes. Okay. No, was it?
Yeah.
The Russo brothers?
No,
because they did Gray Man.
No. Yes. Well, they produced it.
Okay.
It's right on the tip of my tongue. I'll find it. Sam Hargrave.
Okay. That first Extraction.
He was
movie's
Captain
great.
America stuntman.
Okay. All right. That first Extraction movie's great. What was the Lift? Looked kind of interesting.
One that might be really bad is Damsel with Millie Bobby Brown.
It looked like it's a
just
period
based
piece.
on the title, and also if we're judging by Enola Holmes and Enola Holmes 2.
Yeah.
Might be really bad, but I don't know. Like it's a cute little medieval story with a fire-breathing dragon. Where can go wrong?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Like that,
they always find some way to ruin things.
Those shows have run the risk of always becoming overly self-indulgent.
Yeah,
like the language, the prose get over the top, and sometimes you said it was Millie Bobby Brown. Mm-hmm. Like I guess she's enough of an actress now. She's proven herself enough that maybe she can carry.
Angela Bassett is in it.
Ooh, like she could carry the weight. Is peaked. I would say that Millie Bobby Brown has earned her keep enough to say that she might have what it takes to carry the weight of a role like that, depending on how much screen
she's
time.
One of the producers.
So we'll see. But those were the ones that I was looking forward to. The Luther one is the one I'm the most worried about because I just don't know if there was a reason to go there.
I'm very looking forward to that.
Like I don't know if there was a reason to go there.
If he has a story,
yeah.
Which he didn't at the last one.
Yeah.
But if he has a story, and if Idris Elba is like, if it's not a paycheck for him, and he's like, I want to close this out in a good way.
Yeah.
I'm in. And it looks nice. Like one of the things about Luther, it looks great. The show always looks great. So I like being in that. I like being in that world, even though it's very dark and very depressing.
It's weird too because it's like I don't even remember the later season that much. Is his wife, like his ex-wife, still alive? Like did something happen to her in that show?
No, first season,
right? Yeah, okay, that's what it was. Indira Varma's a fantastic actress.
I knew I liked the show when he confronted her about the affair.
Yeah, right. Like in The Office,
yep.
Like dude, like in Indira, like she has this look, like she like was made to be on TV, like on camera. She has this unbelievably charismatic. Kind of almost in an Angelina Jolie-esque way.
Yes, but
that she has
slightly different. Yeah,
like a more like if Angelina Jolie was more homely, I guess in a way. Like she has a very captivating look about her.
It's hard to accept Angelina Jolie as like a mother.
Yeah,
like
Indira Varma you can,
and Indira Varma has that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know how after seeing a lineup like this, Amazon Prime is still beating Netflix.
So okay, actually, somebody gave us the answer to that. Somebody said that Amazon Prime purchased the rights to Thursday Night Football. And that likely plays a huge role in their market share. Look.
But once again, they purchase everything.
Yes. But
they don't make anything.
It's like you said earlier. Like, look, people like normies still love sports. Like as they should. Still support your stuff, right? So I think that's where that is coming from. But I think that's a good amount of stuff to look forward to in addition to all the freaking movies we have to go review as well. We got a lot of stuff to do this year. All right.
I'm gonna shout out to Apple real quick, who makes new stuff.
I haven't watched a single thing.
They make
Apple
new
TV.
stuff, and it's all mostly
Severance
good.
is good.
Severance
that was
is
on
good.
Apple TV.
Servant is good, and Foundation is good.
It's just not a good place to be if you want people to watch.
Yeah.
They make what I mean is like this. They're not like, oh, we're gonna go buy this comic book. They're like, let's make a cool.
But then again, they made Gutsy with Hillary Clinton and Chelsea Clinton.
Okay,
so
but they make new stuff.
That was an L.
Yeah.
I mean, but it seems like every single streaming service has waded the waters into that like annoying political sphere of like there's that there's
political and
there's
celebrity
the AOC,
docu-series and documentaries.
Eventually, we're gonna have to have a crappy Meghan Rapinoe one.
Did they call the? They didn't. Did Netflix made the Anthony Weiner thing? It wasn't called Weiner, was it?
No way.
No, it couldn't have been. Right?
There was like a J6 one like right after the event, like 2 days later.
Like they had already produced it before it even happened.
It was already done. It was like no, like Hulu had an Astro World documentary made like within a week, and then it got pulled. So I want to mention this one really quick, guys. Jeremy Renner, as
is this a womp womp?
It's not a womp womp. It's just a weird world we live in. Jeremy Renner, as you guys know, had his accident recently. He was in a snowplow accident that was very, very sad. He was in a hospital for about 2 weeks. He just recently got home, but he's got a long, long recovery ahead of him. Recently, now he's got Mayor of Kingstown, which I believe either just came out or is just coming out. Mayor of Kingstown season 2 is about to drop, and they went through and they edited the image of him from the cover of it to remove the bloody facial features. Like, why? I guarantee you he didn't make this recommendation. That's just weird.
I wonder what he thinks of it, though.
This is such a corporate, like somebody in standards and practices
were they worried that somebody was going to say it's offensive because he got in an accident?
I guess.
I'm so confused.
Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. So, yeah, it says the Paramount has switched out the key art for the upcoming second season. Renner, who stars in Mayor of Kingstown. It's just like, here's the bottom one. This was the original one. It is actually kind of close to like what his face looked like in the actual accident photos. I don't think they have any of that here, but
oh man,
it's just I was thinking back to like, would we have even gotten The Dark Knight if the internet existed in its current iteration at that time?
No.
They would have never allowed it to happen.
No.
Somebody would have said it was offensive. He wouldn't have been allowed to be as psychotic as the character was, or all these things.
Well,
everything
so they did remove one scene from The Dark Knight.
What?
Where there's a scene. They removed it, and that's what Christopher Nolan put it back in. That's what it was. It was the scene where they dumped the Joker in a trash bag on the pool table.
Really?
Yeah, they removed that scene, and
that's important to the scene. Otherwise, there's no way to explain how he got in that room.
Right, and Nolan was like, "No, put this back in," and they're like, "Well, it's disrespectful," and he's like, "Why? It's his work. It's disrespectful to take it out."
Yeah,
and I remember that being like, "Huh," at the time.
Like that's something so stupid only a studio corporate executive could come up with. Like, who's going to be offended by it?
But I don't even think it's that. It's like, ooh, if we put this out there, people are going to be like, oh, we have to go see that movie.
Yeah,
it's just marketing. How can we market on his death?
You could never do this now. Like back in the day, the ruthless Hollywood executives would have taken advantage of the horrible circumstances. Now they're too scared. It's weird. It's not like anyone was looking at this artwork and was like, "Oh my God,
those are real injuries."
Yeah. Those are real.
So my
injuries.
thought on it is like they're doing it for this reason.
Yeah. Oh, you think it's actually a marketing ploy?
Yeah, it's marketing.
It's like they put a snowplow in the background.
Yeah.
I didn't see many people talking about this, but it's really bizarre.
It's so weird. It's just, I thought that was a weird. It's not a womp per se, but it is.
It's a WTF.
Yeah, it's definitely a WTF.
All right, guys, we've got a couple of super. If you guys have any super chats, get them in now because we got a couple there.
Fipo said,
"Do you want to yell at us about anything?"
Yeah, you want to send us any hate? Please do.
I'm your punching bag.
Fipo said, "Do you all have a PO box where we can send stuff?"
We do not.
No,
I do not believe that.
No longer.
It's too dangerous nowadays.
Yeah, we were getting sent some sussy things.
Yes.
Lane sent us a thumbs up.
All right,
and I think we're all
and
caught
that
up
was
now.
sus.
Even the thumbs up was sus. All right, guys. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for joining us every day. It means the world to me. I love doing this job. And before we go, could you like this video? Leave a comment on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you would, if you have not done so already. I've started keeping a little bit closer eye on like the analytics, on like stuff that like what actually drives traffic and things like that. But that's not what's important. What's important is having fun and talking about these ridiculous stories. Otherwise, Meghan Markle wouldn't get made fun of at all. Right? No?
Well, both are important.
Yes.
So we get to hate on Meghan Markle as long as you guys are here to do it with us.
In the chat, Lewis says Brett should be forced to watch and review Gutsy. There is not enough money in the world, my friend. That's a lot of like that much money. That much money? If you gave me that much money, maybe. We'll talk about that. Maybe. Guys, so again, like this video, leave a comment on this video, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Wesley, would you let everyone know where they could find you?
Yeah, you can find me if you look on Instagram and Twitter. I want to give a quick shout out to Roger. Thank you for watching, even when I'm not here. It means a lot. But if you haven't already check out the new Cast Castle. Pretty proud of it.
Perfect.
Cool.
All right, Mary.
You can find pictures of me on Instagram at Mary Archived, and I encourage you to send hate to my Twitter. It's not as good as, the Burt Man, but that's also Mary Archived. I guess I'll start some Twitter beef with Burt Man.
Perfect. Yeah, that's
you can watch that. And also, we're planning on doing our next meme review with Dane on Monday. So get your memes, your clips, whatever you'd like on the subreddit for Pop Culture Crisis, and we might react to them then.
Perfect. Guys, if you'd like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Brett Dasovic on both platforms. I'm having a lot of fun bringing a lot of not negative energy to Twitter. I am here
not positive, but not negative.
Yeah,
somewhere in between.
It's emotionally ambiguous energy that I'm bringing to Twitter. I'm having I'm posting clips from old TV shows that no one's watching. It gets no traffic because it's like everyone's talking about Velma. I'm like, I love this Damian Lewis series from like 2007. It's great fun, guys. For the show, we are here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. If you'd like to listen to the podcast rather than watch the podcast, we are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. On social media, we are on Twitter at popculture_show, where I now frequently tag into things. Yes, we're on Facebook.
Very helpful.
Yes, it is. We are on Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and we are on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Thank you so much for joining us today, guys. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.